Hey everybody, we got a big show for you tonight. I can tell that many of you are very excited about this. I see so many people in the chat. I'm just surprised there hasn't been a virtual chat. Well, though there already has been. I see it now. EC Harris. I knew it. I knew it. Somebody would be chanting Tyler, 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 and there we go. EC has done it for us. So it is Tyler T's night, and I knew we would have a great turnout for it. It's going to be fun. Many of you have been waiting a very long time for this evening, and it's finally here. Um, I don't even want to wait. I'm bringing Tyler in right now. We're going to get this thing now.
Hello, Bill. Oh, look at this chat. There it is, finally, in all its glory.
Look at that. It's see, yeah, everybody's chanting it now. I mean, I knew they were virtually doing it before we got this thing started, but welcome to the show.
There we go. Oh my gosh, like it's surreal.
Making.
Yes, I know this has been a long time coming, Bill. So I'm definitely happy to do it. So I know I just saw you at Heroes too. So just not too long ago, a couple weeks ago. So
exactly. Look at Kezra's point.
Yeah, that's right. Twin Peaks. There will be some Twin Peaks discussed.
There are, but I think he's talking about that red. You know, you're kind of in the red room.
Oh yeah. So I'm using my Sega CD. I'm streaming from that tonight. And if I've noticed already, because this camera is old enough, if I enter the foreground in here, I can kind of change the color. So this is kind of a Twin Peaks Black Lodge effect we're gonna do tonight. So if I zoom in real close like that to my forehead, you're gonna get a good idea what's going on. So
you are, and I tried to make my room as red as I can, but this is it. This is as far as I can go with it.
Yeah, you were trying. You were trying to match the lighting, which was very kind. So
let's see, maybe it doesn't help, but we're close. We're close.
Yeah, EC Harris knows I have mutant powers, so that's the part of changing the color of the screen. That's about all I was blessed with, you would say.
Yes, yes. Well, one of these days that we know you'll get a new laptop and a new webcam and all that stuff. But we don't need that. Yeah, we're talking art. That's the focus. And,
this could be the jumping point for that. So.
Exactly, because if you have a good time, there's some other programs we can get you on here. I'm sure there's.
Yeah. The next thing you know, it could be a slippery slope, right?
Right. Well, we were talking in the green room before we got started here. Obviously, many of us were at Heroes. You were too. You got invited to do that comic art panel, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I'm totally flattered just to be asked to do that, and. With some other really great collectors too. So it was something I think will make that year's Heroes a little more memorable, So.
Well, we were glad you were on it, and again, you added a different perspective because a lot of the collectors that were up there, have been in the hobby for quite some time. Their focus is more on the vintage stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just a wild man. Yeah, I'm all over the place. So. So I want it to be weird, so.
Oh my gosh, even Aranga, he stopped by. We got Stingray, we got Aranga, Tom McDonald's hanging out. I saw Eric. I was just going to mention Eric's name. I mean, when you were up on the panel, you kind of, alluded to Eric's desire to own.
Yeah, we got to watch him. You watch him in this panel just same way. It's no different. At least we can see him. You can highlight him. We can kind of keep a good tracking device on him. Because we are going to discuss Daniel Warren Johnson tonight too, which Kickstarter came out today with the art of Daniel Warren Johnson, a 300-page book from Flesk Publications. So it's an eBay drop day, pretty much. So
what's the Kickstarter up to right now? Last time I looked, it was
big. When I at the end of work today, I know it was already funded. So, but day one, yeah. So,
hey, we're streaming to Instagram tonight too. I finally got that darn thing to work, so I don't know how many people are going to be watching over there, but we're hitting 3 platforms tonight: YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram for this momentous event.
Yeah, this is terrifying.
Nothing to be frightened about.
Yeah, Stingray wants me to remind the people which Virginia. It's the best Virginia is the answer to that question, not the one over near Virginia Beach at all.
Got it. Now, what is this? Jason says you were aggressive in the Adam Kubert meet and greet?
That's not true at all. I might have had COVID in the Adam Kubert meeting. Yeah, that could have been possible. I didn't know it at the time, but I would say that was probably what was really going on in there.
Well, I think was that where that infamous photo that Kazra took of you was done? Was
that was actually the night before of that. So there was kind of the combination of maybe that and staying up too late. There were a couple things. Yeah, not often, Jason. Not often at all.
And Stingray thinks you pronounced best wrong by not.
Yeah, he'll take as long as he'll take it.
Oh boy. Well, so Tyler, we do have a lot to talk about here. And, you're one of the people on CAF that has a knack for finding creators that no one else has thought to buy artwork from, or maybe even knows that they exist. I want to, what's your secret to that? Because there's a few other collectors out there. Mikhail's a good one, Chris Clark's a good one, Dan T.
Dan T is a great one.
Who am I missing there in that group of four that I've, including yourself?
There's more than what you think.
Yeah.
And I think the answer is you have to do a lot of research on your social media platforms. You kind of have to stay up to date with a lot of that too. Another thing is reading indie comic books. And that's doing that, getting, we got a baby Joey shout out right there. So yeah, that one's going to stay up on the screen for a while, but
we can leave it up for a while.
Yeah.
So you mentioned indie comics though. So what's your source for indie comics? That's that's something that a lot of us, when we go to our local comic shop, don't have an angle on that.
Right. And I think it primarily does start right back to social media, because you're going to find a lot of those artists on there. And then you're going to go to conventions. It's like Heroes Indie Island is a perfect example of where OA or IC3 is. It's crazy how many artists I didn't know existed at IC3 this past year. So I think there's kind of that coordination between you find somebody on social media and then follow their work, follow their books, and then you basically go and try to, see them at a con and see if you can see a portfolio. And kind of go from there. But the short answer to that too is it's always the initial thing is what catches your eye in the beginning. So there's a lot of artists now at this point that maybe when I first started I couldn't do, but once I got used to the process, I could basically look at an artist's work and say, okay, this is great, or this is going to work for a commission, or so I guess there's a little bit of application on their posted work and their published work, and you get lucky sometimes too. I think there's a little bit of that. So I don't know if there's a clear cut secret to it.
I don't know what Baby Joey is, but we'll get that figured out. But here's a question for you, because
Baby Joey's from the new Superman movie. So
okay, so that's why I haven't seen it yet, so I have no idea what they're all talking about. But here's my question for you. When I was doing my research for IC3 and the lead up for the show, I was trying to do a lot of research on artists. Trying to get into my Tyler T vibe.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing was that as I went to a lot of indie creator websites, they weren't selling art. They're only selling their book. And while they might show some printed examples of their artwork, there weren't a lot of like traditional images up there. They were, they're more trying to market the book versus market the art sales. So again, I'd still come back and say, so how do you pick and choose? How do you figure out?
It's a great question. And I think they're, the first thing you have to do in that instance, you have to spend $5 or $10 on that book. You want to buy that book and go through it and look at it. And maybe that'll give you some idea of their style, but that'll at least open a conversation to like, hey, I read your book, and what other work do you like, or what other interests do you have, and that kind of thing. I think that's the path to commissioning more than anything. I like finding similar interests in that part of it, but there's also that like a lot of times I've talked to an artist and I don't know if they'll sell their art or take commissions, or even so there's almost a point where you have to learn that too. And the easy thing clearly is if you see a portfolio at the table, you're in business if there's a portio there. So
right, but I assume
it's a tough thing. You'll pretty much have to start a conversation. You have to say, hey, do you take commissions, or no? Do you sell published pages? And then you might not even know what some of that work is. So then it's discovery. You're
Do
kind
you
of
reach
finding
out to the creators before you see them at a show after you've bought their book and you like their artwork just to see if it's available, if they're doing work they're
I
traditional
do.
versus
I
you
do.
do.
And I used to do pre-show stuff like that a lot more. Now I just go. Like
Mm,
if I like for Heroes this year, if there's an artist there that is gonna potentially have art, I'm like, you know what? I like almost the excitement of going to the table. And then if the art isn't there, I'll ask at the table. So you can at least ask in person too. So I think
mm.
that helps a little bit.
Well,
Did you see Aranga's book at Heroes? I
I talked with Aranga, but I don't think I looked at his table at all because we
what
were too busy
well
talking.
it's like so big, so you still can't cover everything at all. But
Mm.
I went to Aranga's table because I wanted to get the Ashcan, and then he has the pages there, and I mean it was excellent. But I naturally, like, one of the pages I was like, would you sell this page? Like it naturally came out, and we were laughing about that because it was like, oh yeah, that's good, so it shows you it still happens,
So
kind of.
Aranga didn't have prices on the pages, so some
Oh
of the
no,
art was.
well, that's his baby, so he's not.
I
So
see.
not. But it was a real funny, natural thing. So it was like, oh yeah, wait, would you sell that? Because I do like that and everything. But so it is funny how those moments they don't always come in the same format every time. You know what? I was gonna say I need to pause 1 second. I'm a little parched actually.
Well, you should.
So
I always
yeah, it's
have.
time to.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's go full screen here. Let's take a look at that. What are you drinking out of right now? Oh my goodness, look
Do
at
you
that.
see this? This is a Dan T custom.
Oh my gosh.
Here, you know what? Let me get it so the light changes. It's not working. It's not color changing right
You
now.
got the colored lip version one. That's a special one. That's like
I do, and I
the
believe
variant.
I believe this is from his villain series that he did, and I can't tell. I think this is a bad guy from Dexter, the TV show, but I still can't place it. So I'm not quite sure.
Kazra says it looks like a Florida Man moonshine mug. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of does. There's just flavored water in there right now. So. Yeah, I see Chris. Yeah, there's not barley wine on tonight, Chris. No.
Well, that's I got to get myself one of those. That's great. And I see you cleaned it up a little bit. I mean,
I did. It's
polished.
polished.
Like you've never used it before.
They are still available for sale right now. I think Jason, somebody can drop the link in the chat. It's tpublic.com, and it's it's DMTNYC is what it is. And he still has shirts.
Kazra will throw a link in the chat for that. Everybody should have one. Yeah, that's Dan's done some pretty damn good work, and to be able to put something on your on a coffee mug or a T-shirt or you probably put them on pillows or something there too. And if I'm not mistaken, TeePublic has a 25% off sale right now.
Yeah. Oh, how do you think I got I waited for a coupon code for this mug.
Oh man, Chris Nork says you should buy all of the CAF member tees. There are many of them.
Yeah, you get
Jasmine's got one, Chris has got a couple, Jeff Wedding. You've got one, I've got one, Marcus has one. I know I'm forgetting a lot of people. They're out there.
Yeah, there are. There's a dozen of them at least on there.
Oh, Jason. How could I forget Jason D'Ambrosio? I mean, his is a classic.
You can put it on. All right, we're going. Yeah, full branding. So that's the beauty. Right. That's the beauty of it, right there.
Yeah, sometimes it pays to not read the chat, Tyler.
Yeah, I know. I'm a veteran around that chat enough. You think I should know better by now.
Yeah, there we go. Kazra's got the link to the TeePublic store in the chat for those of you who want to copy it. Dan T has
DTM-NYC. Okay.
Yeah, DTM-NYC. Dan's done so much great. He's done so many fun things for all of us, and made everyone a bit happier because of all of the extra work he's put into these artworks. So, yeah, please, pick up something and pick up 2 or 3 things. You get stickers. Put them on your portfolio. Pass them out at the next OA meetup that you have. Yes. Oh man. So, all right. So we got some inspirational ideas on how to track down indie art, but how did you get your start in comics and comic art in general? I mean,
go
ahead. No. I'll let you get started, and then I'll ask my next question.
It's unconventional, and I hope I answered the commission question as best I could, because it's just kind of gray with a lot of that. But I guess before I address that, the final commission thing I would say is that any artist that you meet or approach, just approach them be sincere, be respectful, and, be appreciative that they're willing to draw something. I guess don't lead with that thought that money will get you all of that too. But I think if you kind of approach that and with what you already know with how you collect, I think you can come together with some fairly decent results and be happy, at least kind of follow a good routine. But anyway,
you would say that Instagram though is your best resource.
It is. It's the most consistent. Back when Twitter was decent at a time, not anymore. The algorithm is just toast. So it is Instagram if there is a better one. And then that one artist might only have a profile on one account too. So it depends on, you still might need to go to Facebook or wherever. So I guess it takes a little bit of searching more than anything.
Well, Nick Forrest, and I'm sure I know Chris Snork has said he prefers Instagram over any other place as well.
Yeah, I think it just
Eric Wenger is going to all the wrong sites apparently.
Yeah, he's on a whole different it's a whole different sublevel of sites. Ones that we aren't going to summon because
right. There's
they will pop up in the chat.
Posted to Eric's CAF, I have a feeling.
Yes. Yeah.
And Jason is really impressed by your lighting in there, but that's all right. It's all art. You're right, Eric.
Is that better, Jason? There, it's kind of like more normal, I think.
That's almost perfect. Yep.
Yeah. Here, I'll just keep it like I'll hold my.
Everybody's gonna chip in and send you a new webcam. I think.
Yeah. How about just send the whole computer?
The thing's gotta have at least one USB on it, though, right? It's not.
Oh yeah. It's got a USB 3.0 on there too.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. Yeah. I think I actually have an extra webcam. I might send one over to you.
I'll take it.
All right.
I'll take it. Okay.
Hey, Benno's, look at this. One of your panel, the man who helped organize the panel, Benno's here as well. He wants you he wants you to give everybody your list. I mean, we should have pulled that together, but
I've made a list.
Do you share your list though? That's the thing. Do you, when you
don't want to, you got it. I mean, I don't mind to share the list, but the list is part. I know, like Dan, like Benno saying that Dan sends me stuff that I've still not heard of too. So there is it is really, really deep searching, I think, is how you get into a lot of it. But yeah, there is a list. There's a whole list, and we talked about mystery sketches. I threw some of those names. And that list keeps growing too, which is awesome, which is really cool to see. So there are just new talent just keeps coming.
Right. It was fun having the, how many do we have in there? 4 or 5 indie artists in this pass through with the mystery sketches in May. And it was great. I mean, it was great to see their take on stuff. And it's always good to see non-comic artists or non-mainstream comic artists tackling stuff. And I say that only because, we had the sketch card show with Tatiana the other day. And a guy named Tyler, who's more into, say science fiction, fantasy, his sketch cards, they were just so unique. They stood out from everybody else's because he had a different style, a different approach, and all of his cards sold.
And
I think, right, and that's fun. I mean, that
like
makes us all feel good when that happens.
Yeah. When there's something unique, I mean, it really draws you to it, and it's refreshing and it's different from everything else. I think there's definitely something there. I learned at IC3 too that the indie communities are kind of built by region too. That like there is like a whole community in Connecticut that I didn't know existed, and then New York has its own. So I think that's another part of this where, as far as the indie community goes, there are sections of it all across the country. So I think there's really a lot to discover as far as that goes.
Right. I would agree with you there. I mean, that's why I heard Tyler is taking sketch card.
Yeah, I did take a CAF Live commission.
Did
I don't
you?
think it's been revealed yet, so we got to be quiet about it.
Oh, all right.
Oh, see my lighting. Look at it. Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm telling you, there's something. It's something overhead. That's what I think. It's
Yeah,
you've got like a funky, not name brand bulb in one of those recessed lights, and it's
yeah, it's right there. It's right above it too, so it's very close. But I'm not going to move. I'm going to try not to move. We'll
We're
see how
not
that goes.
calling an electrician to fix this problem tonight. Hey,
No.
Mikhail. Hey, look at that.
Hey, look at that. Yeah, hot garlic. He made it. He made that's a proper hot garlic shout out right there too. You see all the T's and that. Yeah, yes. That's I expect nothing less.
So
Yes,
okay. So I think we're gonna go back and
to
talk
the
about the
beginning.
indie scene a fair amount
Yeah.
because I know some of your picks are very much in that kind of wheelhouse in terms of the artists that you've selected. That not every piece in the set of 20 that you picked are by Daniel Warren Johnson or
No, no, but
Daniel Heron.
I did want to pick some of my favorites tonight, and I almost have like there. I realize there's a whole subset because it is difficult. You hear people say this. It was difficult for me to narrow 20 down.
Hmm.
So I made kind of I don't know, somewhat thematic a little bit, where I didn't take a lot of this is not my indie art picks. Put it that way.
Right.
That's a whole different subset. But I did work a couple things in there too. So that's I guess that's my curation for tonight.
Yeah, there you go. Tom McDonald does. He just wants the list.
Yeah, so I customized Tom McDonald's Heroes program. He gave me a pen and I went and circled all of them that I like. I went through every page in it and circled it. So he has a custom Heroes program. I didn't autograph it though, but I will do that next time I see you, Tom. So
But yeah, just to be clear, your list is in a spreadsheet, right? I would assume that you've got to keep it on your phone or on
oh
your
yes, it's a highly encrypted file that
right, right.
top
Well,
secret.
my problem would be, and because I just had this feeling that the list is pretty long. I mean, there's no way you're just keeping a mental list of all of these
No,
painters.
no,
You gotta
there's all kinds of
there's a notebook full of
yeah.
names
Yeah.
somewhere.
So, and yeah, I mean, it really does keep going. So that's the thing. There are new artists all over the place that are really unique minds that I mean, it just keeps going. So
Interesting. Yeah, you could be hired out as a curator at a show. The heroes could bring you in and you
yeah,
could like curate like which artists a person should go to based on their you know
yeah,
it
I can do
because you
that.
you know somebody on the floor like that.
Yeah,
Very
yeah, I could do that based on your interests and send you packing right through there.
Now Kazra thinks, I mean, yeah, and he thinks
I
you've
did.
picked 20.
I was very
20.
close to doing that actually. That is the more likely scenario out of everything. But because I picked two of his, and
Mhm.
they were just ones I like. I mean, I like them. So different days, I might have picked a different two too. So that's kind of the fun of that. But I see
Everybody's
Chris.
yeah, there's a lot of fun ideas
Yeah, the psychedelic OAX
take the
journey that ends at the fire
psychedelics.
pit. Uh, nobody jumps in the fire pit either.
Man. But Tyler is the leader. Yeah, in his own way. Gifted. My goodness. I knew this was going to be a fun night. We already, hey, just Tyler, don't get nervous, but we do have over 65 people watching right now.
Oh wow! Well, that's it. Yeah, I'm. I think after the live heroes panel, I'm okay.
You're good.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. All right. Well, let's get back to the
Yeah,
origin story stuff because
yeah.
again,
So,
we're going
so
to come
back to
back
the
to
beginning.
but gosh, see, I'm getting diverted again. And I have to tell you, I don't know what kind of scanner you have, but everything you sent me, you could be sending those to any
Yeah,
major publisher to print those because
good,
you
good.
sent me
You
the
know what?
best scans I've
I have a
ever gotten.
Xerox. It's a
Ah,
Xerox brand one, so
okay.
it wasn't overly expensive either. So I mean, I think it was $400 though. I mean, so but I always laugh. The Billy Ireland Museum has that really high tech one, and I know it's so much money, but it's like a big 36-inch flatbed one. So I get really excited when I see that one. But yeah, I use an 11 by 17 flatbed that is a Xerox.
Mhm.
And it does fine. Now, bigger images I will stitch together, and then you can stitch them and keep the quality superb. There's different ratings, but what it does, and you can see this, is it creates really large file sizes. Some of
Yeah.
them are 60, 70 megs just for scans, but you can really zoom in about as far as you can go. And,
I chose not to make slides tonight so I could zoom into these.
wow, yeah,
You know what I mean? So I'm gonna show them as a slideshow, but not like I
yeah.
normally would because your scans were too good.
Sure. I worry too. When I send you an image that big, will it display right too? Sometimes, because I know when I put something too big, it almost I don't know, it doesn't expand. It doesn't.
Don't you worry. You'll
zoom.
see
Yeah,
when we
it's
start
fine.
talking
We're gonna
about
be
the art.
good.
You're gonna be we'll all be happy to be able to zoom into them.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
all right,
so
let's talk about you now. Okay.
Yes. So this starts. So for you guys that don't know me, I live in West Virginia. I'm one of the few comic art collectors here. The best point of reference, I tell everybody this too. I live south of Pittsburgh, about 2 hours. So I am not, I am near some civilization here in West Virginia, so I do not have a typical comic book collecting youth, I don't think. And that was probably more than anything due to comic book access. Because there was the mall at one point, we had the mall. So the bookstores at the mall had comic book shops. There were the card shops or the card dealers that would set up and have all their NBA and, NFL rookie cards, and then they would have spinners at those places. So you could definitely go to the mall and get comics. But I ended up, this is when I'm younger too and didn't have money. So, my grandfather would take me to the convenience store in town, and there would be like a magazine rack, that had all the magazines at the time. So there would usually be about one spinner there. And you didn't know what was going to be there. So if there was a Spider-Man book, I would buy that. Same way, if I saw a Bongo, the Simpsons comic book, that was going home all the way. But it was very sparse, put it that way. Because I remember this is mid early 90s, and there's like a continuing Spider-Man story, and I could never find the next issue. Or you had to jump over to a different title and then jump over to a different one after that. And there was no way those 6-part series were ever getting completed. So I kind of gave up on that a little bit. And then I used a mail order. There was a mail order place. I cannot remember the name. And if this refreshes anybody's memory, but they had a mail order catalog, and they would ship free Valiant comics with what you bought. So, and I did that a couple times, but that was always
they couldn't sell them. They had us. I missed the 90s. Bongo comics and a spinner rack. I don't know what you're talking about. So you were doing mail order, and they were giving away free Valiant comics with every order you made.
Yeah, they're just throwing one in. Yeah, and I still have them too, and a lot of the earlier runs of stuff. And I don't know if they're just trying to promote at that point. I like. I see the chat is taking off as well.
Chris Norrick, I guess he wasn't. Well, isn't Southern Comic Geek in here? He was paying for his Valiant comic books. There's no way. Carl Choi, that was their that's like the stuff they love the most. So
yeah, I would have to. I'll have to dig those comics out and see exactly which ones. But there was a handful of them. But so I had somewhat of a stack of comics, if you call it that. But then my dad would take me over to the gas station, like in the small town we lived near, and they would have the Marvel Universe cards there. So Marvel Universe cards were the 90 and 91 series right there. That, just as much as everything, was influential, because I couldn't get the books. So you'd buy the packs of cards, and then I would go to Toys R Us, and that kind of ties into the next part, where the X-Men animated series and Spider-Man the animated series, that was my go-to there. You could watch those on Saturday mornings over and over again. So if you think there is some rich comic book history here, there is not. I would be absolutely lying. I'd be absolutely lying if I said there was. So
no, I think a lot of collectors that I've met since, honestly, in the last 4 years, since we've been kind of branching out and doing different things, with Kazra on board and all that stuff, a lot of the collectors that we've met, are those that didn't come to original art from comics. You know, they came to that artwork
Yeah.
from the trading cards and stuff. And so I think the 90s were a very interesting period because I mean, you know, people were coming to the characters in a lot of different ways, and it really didn't matter how they did, because I mean the great thing is that 30 years later those characters are still sticking with them.
They're
You know,
still
whether they're
there.
still
Yeah.
buying trading cards or they're collecting art like most of us are.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I hadn't heard that too often in, you know,
That's it.
prior to meeting, you know, that kind of set of collectors. So you're saying the same thing. Comics were hard to
Yeah.
buy. Trading cards were actually more accessible.
Trading cards. I had all the X-Men trading cards. I had them in portfolios, and that kind of transitioned from collecting basketball cards too. So I would but then it was like, well, you know, then you watch the animated series, and then I would go buy the toys. So then you were going through the whole imagination part of that too. But you know, as I got into high school, like I think I was probably a freshman or sophomore in high school. One of my dad's friends that lived down the road brought a box of Silver Age comics to me. And I had a Wizard at that point. And the first appearance of Incredible Hulk was in there, 181. There was a bunch of old Star Wars, Avengers. The funny part, there was no Spider-Man or X-Men in there. And that's really what I wanted. But there was Incredible Hulk. There was that great run of the 200s of Incredible Hulk. And so that was something that definitely impacted that as well, where my dad's friend Todd brings me this big box of comics, and I rode my bike back up to him and told him that I was like, the first appearance of Incredible Hulk is in here. And he was like, oh, keep it. He's like, I have another one. So it did.
He didn't give you the X-Men though, and he didn't give you the Spider-Man. But
no, he didn't. And he did tell me later on. He said he had number ones of those issues too, and they all had the postal marks and stuff where like the mailman had written on pin with them and stuff. So it was really neat to see. And I of course got all those, and they were in. I bagged and boarded all of them, so that was a big thing. You know, that was probably the biggest like comic book, you know, pickup I got it, you know, throughout all of high school, you know.
Yeah, like Eric Wenger says, Spider-Man guys are the worst.
Yeah,
doesn't he know?
Yeah, Stingray's the. Yeah, but we're gonna get the Stingray. You know, he's in trouble. So.
I don't know what bookstores Marcus was shopping in, but it wasn't comic book stores. We still haven't gotten Marcus's origin story either. He has yet to make an appearance on the channel. He is in the chat all the time, though.
Yeah, he is. He is. Well, and you know, like that's where I just didn't have that big city or a city with a solid comic book store that was there for decades. There was a small one in downtown that opened up, but I remember it didn't stay open for a long time. But my grandfather brought me in there, and I ended up leaving. I was probably 11 or 12, and I left with Punisher POV by Bernie Wrightson. That was a 4-part book. It was kind of like a trade paperback book, but it was really gory. And I still don't know how I managed I didn't know what was in that book either, but I still don't know how I managed. Like, I don't know how he didn't say, you're not buying that one. But so I did get Bernie Wrightson horror a little early.
He wanted to read it.
Yeah. And something there. And you know, he used to read the Prince Valiant Sunday comics too. So at least I think there was a part there where he was like, okay, yeah, these books are good, no matter what is exactly in that specific book. But so there's all these little kind of instances, I guess. But it was hard. You didn't have constant access to comic books.
But we're getting to the late 90s now, right? So,
yeah. So we're in so you know, the youth thing definitely was comprised of the Marvel cards, the animated series and toys, occasional Spider-Man books. High school, I end up getting the the box of Silver Age books. But then I had some friends in high school that read all the books, you know, all kept up on X-Men and Alpha Flight and stuff like that. So I would talk to them about comics, but I wasn't reading them in high school. I was way too worried about the social aspect of everything. And then it wasn't until after high school I got kind of pulled back into image books. And that's probably like 2014. Yeah, 2000, maybe earlier. I know it's probably a little earlier than that. But
A little
I
bit.
had a good buddy. He came to Christmas with a Walking Dead omnibus, and I knew what Walking Dead was. But when we really started looking at it, I was like, oh, I definitely need to read this. But then, then there's all the other Image books at that time, like Chew and then later on,
One of James Siegel's favorite books, I believe.
Yeah, really, and that was, I mean, really, James. When I first met James, I did not know anybody else that had liked Chew or even knew what it was, other than like maybe one other friend that read comic books. So that's another kind of tie-in part where this transitions into art at some point. And when it did, I didn't know anybody who even collected art, So I kind of those first couple years were just flying by the cuff.
Yeah. So where'd you get the first piece of art? Was it at a show?
Okay. Yeah. So it kind of I started reading Image, all that kind of stuff. Wasn't going to cons at all or anything like that. Didn't think to go to a convention, and it literally was the Felix comic art ad. I had.
In the comics, yeah.
Yeah. Because what I'd read Walking Dead.
You're the first person. This is a great origin story.
It really is. I'm not exaggerating at all either. It's
I believe
it's because of James Herron. It is because of James Herron, but it isn't clear cut though, because I ended up starting, getting into Walking Dead, and I'd read Hellboy anyways, so I knew. Well, then I don't know what it was, got me into. I like Guy Davis. So I'd read BPRD, Plague of Frogs, which is one of my favorite Hellboy stories. And then James Herron ended up doing later on. He did he's done a couple stories in BPRD. So I kind of found Herron there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like that was the first time I had seen something like that. I'm like, oh, Walking Dead story was great. But like seeing what James Herron was drawing, I was like, this is insane. So that kind of got me onto James Herron. So then I buy Rumble. Rumble is out through Image. Rumble comes out, right. And then that's when you see Rumble in the that there is a Felix ad in one of the Rumble books. And so I get online and I'm like, oh well, I like James Herron enough, and I'm like, hadn't considered the idea of buying a page. It wasn't even a thought. And once I went to Felix's site and started looking at the pages from the issue, I'm looking at the issue while I'm looking at the pages on the site and clicking on them. And then there was that moment where you're like, oh, I get to decide which one. Like, oh, is that one better than the other one? Like that moment right there was that was it. That was it right there. And I bought, I did not include this. My first piece is James Herron, but it was Rumble number 2, page 21 and it was, I think, $225, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was, wasn't a bank breaking page or anything like that. And that was it. That was the first one.
So that's got to be around 16 or 17.
Yeah, 15. Yeah, I believe that page purchase was in 2016. So technically just right about 9 years, I guess.
Right. Yeah, Felix, when he started his business, we built his first website, and he was experimenting. He had ads out there. That he started his podcast right away. He wanted a chat integrated in his website. Yeah. And I remember, and it was all this extra work. Yeah. And that's going to, this is time and money, man. You really want it. You think this is going to be good?
Yeah.
So I remember I did. I didn't argue the points, but I was like, nobody else has this stuff, right, Felix? And he's like, I want it, Bill. And so and so it all kind of happened, and then you look where he's at today. But that's amazing. I'm sure you're not the only person who got turned on to comic art by the fact that Felix.
Yeah, and then at that time, and I know I've talked to George. George came in a little earlier than I did, but even those Felix drops back then, you would go and buy something. If you went back to the page 4 or 5 hours later, most of it was still there. You could definitely make a decision in a day, where you could say, oh, do I like that one? Wait till this evening and look at it again or something. But then there was the point where some point the Felix drops, it was like you better be clicking and typing as fast as you can if you even want a chance.
Around the time art drop became a Felix coined word, that's when it became more and more exciting to be there, and you felt like you had to be there.
It was harder and harder to get them. It was increasingly with each one. So.
Yeah, everybody says Felix should be in here tonight. I'll be Felix will be at San Diego next week. He and I.
It's a big weekend coming.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
I've not made the trip out west there too. That's on the bucket list. So
you should do it.
It's going to have to happen.
You get to rub elbows with the comic art collecting elites like Jeff Wedding, and Marcus is there.
Yeah, Marcus. I'm going. Yeah, I got to see Marcus. So.
Yeah. He's there. He is one of Albert Moy's best workers. That's what Albert has told me. He puts the art up in the best possible angles.
He doesn't damage it or anything. Bend the
corners. No, and he knows to keep the Bruce Timm book of nudes, center spot with a nice neon glow on it, and he makes sure that the only people 18 and over touch it. I mean, he's a very thorough helper in Albert's booth.
Yes, well, it looks like we're going. Stingray, Chris, we're forming the plan right now. So.
Rich James. No, I won't be attending the George Lucas panel. I think the panel's actually on Sunday. I leave on Saturday night anyway, so I couldn't even do it if I wanted to. But waiting in a line for a Hall H is just never going to happen. But you know what's interesting? Before we're not finished with the origin story, but literally I was listening to a local news station the other day when I was driving in the car, and they actually talked about the George Lucas Hall H appearance on this podunk, radio station in Central Florida. I was shocked. Like, my God, George Lucas is actually getting people to talk about him and comics on the radio in rural Florida. So, I mean, that's just wild. I would never have thought. I mean, it's a big deal, but I just would never have thought it was that big of a deal. But hey. Wow. I'm sure it's going to be recorded, Tyler. You and I can have our own party after it's all.
That's right. We'll watch it in the comfort of our living room.
That's right. But all right. So after you get your first piece from Felix, where do you go from there? Do you stick with Felix? Do you discover Albert Moy and anybody else?
It's a great question, and the biggest thing you have to realize that I'm sitting here. I have two other friends at this moment in time that are into comic books, but not into comic art. So I don't really know what to do next, other than I really just kept reading image books, reading books I liked. I would buy. I was on a pull list, so I was getting weekly books. So if there was something I liked or caught my eye, it's right back to the eye. I mean, really, it would be like, oh, I need to check that out, and then it's slippery slope, because once you learn, like, oh wait, that person might have original art. Then you're like, wow.
So it started getting you. So Felix, and the way he marketed that, made you start thinking about other creators and the possibility of.
But at that same time, I also kept purchasing from Felix, because I realized as soon as I went to the site, I was like, well, are there any other artists on here that I'd heard of or that I liked? And I'd heard of Ryan Ottley from Invincible. Daniel Warren Johnson, I clearly did like. I think that it was, it was Extremity before. That was probably, that was the first one. I didn't read, I did go back and buy Ghost Fleet and Space Maud after that. But that's where I kind of got on board there. And then it really grew once it was, okay, Felix has a roster. Well, then you learn there's a Cadence comic art, and then because it's like I'm reading BPRD, so I want something from those pages. So it was you just kind of, but I really felt around those first couple years, because I didn't have anybody to talk to or to ask, am I doing something wrong, or is this normal for this? Like I remember one of the first times Felix ships pretty quick. Mm-hmm. He still does, even with his volume now. But when I was first buying those pages, he was shipping them relatively fast, So that became a norm for me, that I was like, oh, everybody ships within about a week. And then I learned a little bit later that's not the case. And I did learn, I think I learned patience during this time too. I didn't have it, or didn't understand what the expectation for patience was in this specific hobby. So that's a big part, because I was just like, what's taking so long? That naive thinking that, oh, that guy should be shipping that tomorrow, or and it doesn't necessarily work like that. But yeah, I said cadence. I'm not a. Oh, you guys act like what? Yeah, it was cadence. A lot of artists, you guys like them too, and bought pages. We're not. But that's the time frame that was. So, and it was really. So I did start to go around to artist rep sites, and then again the internet. And at some point, I would almost. I don't remember who was first, but I realized I am messaging this artist directly. And I am going to be very polite. And if you tell me no, or to go pound salt, I am not offended by that. But what I realized is that was really a great way to get a lot of art and get on commission with this.
So did you strike out with that first, inquiry with an artist?
No, it was more just feeling around, like, okay, I don't know what the etiquette is. Didn't have anybody else to talk about with the etiquette, but I was like, use your better judgment, be polite, if you, just really. And then once you got the piece back, it was like, wow, this is awesome. This is amazing. Mm-hmm. One of the first ones I have it. I'll save it. I won't tell which one it is, but it is on the list tonight. But I remember getting that. Like, this hobby's insane, and I'd commission somebody, and yet again, it wasn't an overly expensive commission. And I think that's a point that I do. You can commission, and they don't have to be multiple $1,000 pieces to commission. There are very affordable options for commissioning, and you can get amazing results. You really can.
And you have gotten amazing results. We're going to see some of them tonight. So Compson wanted to know, what would you do different if you could go back and starting out your collection? I mean,
it's a fantastic question, because I think every one of us has an answer that's there. Would I say that I wouldn't go back and buy all the little pieces? No, I don't think I would, because if I didn't, I wouldn't learn the whole hobby. Like, for example, I didn't go to art school. I have no art background. I have an eye. So in this time during this hobby, I kind of learned stuff about perspective and, panel layout, and what the Understanding Comic Books book, that kind of thing, storytelling, sure, and all that. And it's amazing how that's come together. But, if for the fun of it, it'd be easy to say, yeah, I wouldn't buy any of these pieces, and I just buy one insane grail, and Chris and I recently talked about that maybe I could do that, because that would be amazing. But then what would I do for the rest of that year, or what would you do with the rest of that time? So part of the hobby, I guess, to actually answer your question, I'd maybe show a little more focus in that very beginning stage, just because I was feeling through and didn't know exactly what I was doing.
But it was a little bit easier back then. I mean, like you said,
it wasn't a lot of money. It wasn't.
That's what I was going to say. Felix's stuff, was the pieces were affordable. You're talking pages that were still $150, $200, $250, $300. I mean, this is 8 or 9 years ago, and yeah, you could make a few mistakes as a new collector, and not feel like you really screwed yourself.
You see, things are a little different. Heartbreak. It's all heartbreak. That's right. That's right. You're always going to regret it. You're always going to say, I should have bought that one, there you go. Spicy.
ML member for 48 months.
Yeah, 4 years.
Kyle. My goodness. Yeah, that's about the time we hit our 1,000 subscribers, and then we could actually have members on the show. So thank you, Mikhail, for 4 years strong. Appreciate that. Yeah. But of course, things have changed. I mean, you wish pages were all in that average 100 to 200 range, but they're not. But that's, I think every one of us started in a vacuum. I can't say everybody. The majority of art collectors start just like you did. Being in West Virginia, you seem to have been in a bigger vacuum than most. But you know, you usually don't have a friend beside you egging you on to buy that first piece of art, you know,
Yeah,
so you're
yeah,
gonna make mistakes. We all, you know, I think we all
yeah.
have by and
It,
large, one way or
it,
another, and some of us still continue to make them. We're
absolutely. Yeah,
all learning through this thing.
yeah. In some way, I guess maybe I learned because once I did that by myself and then met a lot of people, then it was easy for me to see, hey, okay, change this, or maybe you shouldn't be doing this as much, you know. So I guess I was able to build on that a little bit.
Yes, you definitely were.
I see. Yeah, I see the chat here. We got.
I know
We
there's
went
a
into
lot
pepper
going on in
talk.
this
I did
picture.
eat spicy hot peppers last summer. That's where that's come from. That was a one summer deal, I think.
Yeah, Jason is here to support everyone buying everything they can, and he's
That's right.
happy to
Yeah,
be an ear for you to, you know,
yeah.
to bend
I'm glad you're
when
here.
you're
Yeah, you're
debating.
here to enable. You're here to enable us, Jason. Thank you.
Yes, he can spend
So
your money better than you can.
I'm glad. I'm glad Stingray. You need to bring Stingray's comment up about keeping him humble, right
Yeah.
there. So I had to take my sister
Really?
back to the airport on Friday. I'm up in Pittsburgh, and I went to a Mexican restaurant for lunch. And as I was leaving, I'm like, oh, I got a couple hours to drive back. I need to go to the bathroom. So this isn't a story I would normally tell, but we're going to tell it anyways.
Okay.
So I go in and I use the urinal and I look down and, urinals, and they have these pads in them. They're like a perforated pad. It's not the cherry cake that smells so
I know
lovely.
what you're talking about.
Not the cherry
Some
tablet.
of the ladies in the chat might not.
This is usually like a blue pad. Yeah. But really, it's you really don't even need to know this. But
Keep
there
going,
are
though.
urinal pads that kind of help splash. It's a splash guard, I think, and maybe some antibiotical stuff in there. But so I look down, and I immediately there's nobody in the bathroom, but I just busted out laughing, and I had to take a picture of it and send it to him. But the maker of the urinal pad, there is an actual stingray on it. It's like a 2-inch stingray, and it says Stingray. Stingray is the brand. So there is actually a Stingray, image, and I took a picture of it and I said, "Thinking of you," and I sent that right to Newell. So it was really one of the funniest things that I had to like. You want to talk about a random Stingray appearance when you didn't expect it, and an opportunity to make a good joke towards Stingray. So
Somebody is Googling that right now to
yes,
see
Pat, I'm sorry. Pat, I'm sorry you came in right at this moment. I apologize.
if they sell T-shirts and hats. I think yeah, we need to look into
Rich
that.
Danny said, "Ouch."
Yeah, there's nothing named Cyclops that you're urinating on
Yeah.
out there, Marcus. I can guarantee you that. But Stingray, there you go.
Yeah,
See,
and
character
SNR gets
collectors
it. He's
can
like,
get
yeah,
into
we need to commission that pad.
Wait, you still got it on your phone, right?
Oh, it's right here.
Oh,
Here
come on,
go.
here. We got to go full screen. Let's all have a look
Here.
at this thing.
Let's see. There it is. Look at that. That's an actual Stingray on the pad. I mean, look, there's for dexterity, just so you know that, yeah, there you go. So, yep, I took a picture of the urinal for Stingray and Stingray only.
Oh, God, I can't
But
read that.
I'm glad he brought it up because I was going to segue it in there, but I didn't know the perfect time to do that. So,
well, I did get a text from I don't know if I'm allowed to mention from who, but they said Stingray likes to get pissed on.
Yeah. That was my thought when that was more the joke I made after I sent it too. That it was like,
God.
It was kind of like, because I was laughing. I'm like using the restroom. You're like, oh, that's
that thing. We're streaming to Instagram tonight.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So there you go. That's a mild story too, Bill. So we're not going to go down the rabbit hole. But
this is not the origin story I was expecting.
No.
Oh my goodness. This is we're going all over the place. So
I had to throw something off the cuff.
When you get a text from Tyler, everyone, just be sure the kids aren't in the room.
Yeah, no, I'm not sending anything like that. Stingray is the lone recipient of that right there.
Oh, well, you know what? I bet you there isn't one person in the chat that when they saw that didn't think of Stingray, and if they had his number, they probably would have done exactly what you did.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. The number one Marvel. Tom. Oh,
hey,
Tom,
hey,
there you
if
go.
I see a urinal cake that says Marcus on it, I'm sending him a picture of that.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Oh, I couldn't. There was no way I couldn't. And I did. The best part about it, I had to take the picture real fast because I was like, "Do not get caught taking a picture of the
Yeah,
urinal in the
when you're
bathroom."
in the men's room and you don't
stranger.
really,
Yeah.
want to be whipping the camera.
Yeah. No, it was like, what is that guy doing in there? Like, oh yeah, try
Somebody's
explaining
gonna
that
call the
to him.
cops, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Police are there in like 10 minutes. So.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's right. I should have put it in my pocket. Just folded it right up there.
Boy, this interview is off the rails,
Yeah,
Tyler.
there we go.
Already
That's all it
55
took
minutes
too.
in. Wow. Okay. I don't know where to go from that. All right.
So,
I don't even know where we were at before.
yeah, I side railed. I got you. I got
We
you
were
on that.
talking about Felix, and
Yeah. So,
you had a commission, and so who was after Felix? Who's the
yeah.
first? Was it an
So,
artist that you bought from, or a dealer, or another rep?
well, an early one was Matt Allison. I commissioned Matt Allison very early before he was repped by anybody, and I remember being so excited over that. Like, just it was. Yeah, I do railroad. Yeah. But he was another one, but there weren't too many until it was later on. It was a lot of Felix in the beginning, I think, and it was at least a couple years down the road. But there was it is hard to remember because I'm thinking Matt Lesniewski was another one too that I bought pages and stuff from, but I didn't commission him. You're about to find out who Matt Allison is real shortly, sooner than later. Oh, we found the Stingray. Somebody found.
Yeah, you saw that.
Yeah.
Kazro, he's
on
it.
it. He's on it. There you go. There's a gift. There's your next gift for Noel there for Christmas, birthday, any occasion.
Oh boy, yeah, that's actually good to know.
Yeah,
so,
but nobody is jumping out there as far as really early that it was just was anybody.
But now with Matt Allison, you said he wasn't rep, so you had to find him on Instagram.
Yeah, he was on Twitter.
You were a fan of his
I remember
Cankor work, I would
assume.
assume.
Yep, that's it. Yep, I had a buddy that got Cankor books. I had one of the not the earliest ones, but one of around that same 2015 time frame, I guess. So that's where a lot of that starts, and then it snowballs from there. It really does.
I think Eric wants you to take another sip off your coffee mug.
I am thirsty. Yeah.
There it is.
The color change. See there you go. I got it right there.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's not. It was doing that during the Secret Santa thing too. You know that. So no good.
All right,
you do not need to worry about my video quality as long as the art looks good. That's the focus here. The focus is not me.
Video quality is just fine.
Yeah.
But
but then it kind of goes from there. It goes into.
I mean, you mentioned cadence, so clearly. So reps were where you're looking for
public
work from books that you're reading.
That's it. Published interior pages. Yeah, interior pages more than anything.
Not things from the early 90s and the 80s. You're looking for stuff that you're reading.
Yes, current stuff that I was reading. That is exactly, and I would say the majority of those were in image titles. During that, East to West, Chew, Rumble, Walking Dead, a lot of those books, and I think that kind of started, or at least kind of rekindled my real interest in comic books again by reading those. So then you're kind of like, oh, okay, who's doing this, and then you're kind of checking out artists online and following what books they're doing. I like this artist, so I'm going to buy their book. And I think it's kind of a combination of that.
So you end up joining CAF around the beginning of the pandemic.
2020, yeah. So this is what's crazy, and this is good. This is interesting because I knew what CAF was. During those early 2016 and 2020, I don't think I went to CAF maybe until a year or two in. So let's say 2017, 2018, I knew that there was at least a site, because this was a little deeper in when I'm trying to figure out, oh, I like Guy Davis. Where do I find Guy Davis's art? Because I couldn't find it. And he was one of the first ones that I go to CAF and somebody had Guy Davis pages up. Now, I did not have an account there at all, so I was looking at them. And I'm like, wow, okay, there's a Guy Davis original. So they're out there, you know. I didn't even bother to try to message that CAF member either, but I emailed Guy Davis. Actually got a reply out of him too. And he was in Europe or something, and it was going to be a couple months. And I never did hear back from him after that. So I ended up not buying a page from Guy Davis, but I see it's flickering really bad now. It's like a certain spot. Driving you crazy. So I never did get art from Guy Davis, but I ended up buying it from collectors. So that's how, but that started. I think it's right there. That definitely started the search too, that I'm like, oh wait, there are some people this is harder to obtain. So I finally, I think I really don't remember if I'd created a CAF account before I posted. I think I did. I think I'd started a CAF account with nothing in it, maybe messaged a couple people, but it wasn't many. And I realized, like, oh, I want to get this art that I have on to Comic Art Fans, but I didn't have a scanner. So before I could actually go full out on CAF, I had to buy a scanner. So that was the big part, the big hang up there. And then if you noticed, when I logged on to CAF, I scanned all my pieces in a row for like 3 days straight. And I didn't realize at that point that people could see when you're posting, you know, or I just looked like a maniac posting like 50 pieces a day, you know. And of course, not aware of how the whole thing worked. But yeah, I put all those pieces on CAF. I had those pieces for probably about 4 years, and then I just dumped them all on CAF.
Mm-hmm.
That's really how it started. Yeah, and then the next thing you know, it's like, then you go to Heroes and you get to meet, you know, you start to meet people.
So had you met collectors prior to CAF then? I mean,
nope. I didn't know anybody. Didn't know anybody at all. So I went to Heroes. What, like 19? I think Heroes 2019, and I started to meet some collectors there. I remember going though for Matt Allison was there. Ed Piscor and Jim Rugg were at that one too. So I went really going because I knew very specific artists were going to be there, but then didn't kind of finally met people that had they're like, oh, hey, I'm on Comic Art Fans, and that's really where that started. So
awesome. Well, I think the natives are getting restless. They want to look.
Yeah. I'm surprised. Simon would know. I'm a fairly long-winded storyteller sometimes, so I will rant as long as you let me.
No, this has been fun. I mean, it's gone into territory that we have not explored on the channel in the last 5 years. But that's cool that 2019 though would have been your first Heroes, because it's pre-pandemic, it's pre-CAF, and you're actually getting to see the artist face to face, and in Heroes, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better show to kind of get started at.
It was amazing. I mean, and then you're walking up to everybody, and there weren't even lines for people a lot of times. Even Daniel Warren Johnson didn't even have a line back then. I remember you could go, there was like 2 or 3 people in front of him. So showed you that time frame.
200 or 300 in front of him.
Yeah, it's 2 hours now. Yeah, it's 2 hours. That's great. But yeah, that is exactly where it started, and it kind of built. It's built from there.
Man, the zingers at OAX are legendary, and I haven't had them yet. So I'm not going to Miller's until the next OAX.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try a zinger.
You guys get so busy, you don't even get the time to experience a lot of that. So.
Well, I actually went and had a few beers over there. And I think I saw a poster on the wall that said something about zingers, but it could have been a joke poster for all I knew.
Yeah, right. We're gonna change that for next year. That we're gonna christen you with them.
All right. Well, I had a look though just to see what was the first artwork that you posted to CAF, and it was a knockout and tiger style #1, page 7 by Adam Phelp.
Yeah,
Who I'm not familiar with.
that's an indie artist from the UK.
Okay.
And I backed so that was another thing. I would back Kickstarters to get rewards too, and still do that. But I bet that is the first one because it was alphabetical. I think that's why that is. But
well, there you go. I'm going to just show it. It's not. It wasn't in your set that you picked today, but
yeah.
There you go. First artwork on CAF posted. Let's see what day. On
it was November 20. It was Thanksgiving. It was Thanksgiving break because I had days off, and I had a scanner and went to town. But you see the writer there, Fraser Campbell. He's a wonderful writer. That I picked another one of the artists. He has done indie books in England. I'm such a huge fan of him. So no, there's no beer at OA. Yeah, there's no OEX. There's no beer there at all.
Yeah, no, not at all. Just open bars and whatever else you want. But
see, look at it. Yeah, it changes.
Next time you have a Zoom call for work or something, you got to just sit there and just keep bringing that up. There you go. Yeah,
it's Twin Peaks all the way.
It is. It definitely is. Carl's in the chat. Hey, good to see Carl. All right. Well, let's dive into your picks. You sent me 20. I asked for 20. We got 20, and they're all pretty darn awesome, as everybody should expect. But let me see. Let me switch over here because I am showing this a little differently. Where is that tab? There it is. So here, look. We're going to start off with a piece of art from James Heron, right? From the Goon.
I wanted to start with James definitely because of he really was the artist that pulled me into comic art with the Rumble page. And I continued still do to this moment, still buy James Heron pages. I have a decent collection of them now. This is one of the favorites. There are a number of favorites in there. If you go click on the gallery, I think there's 30 pieces or so in there. A lot of Rumble interiors in there. But there are a handful of really, really nice pieces that I have from James. And this one is not just because it's a cover, but because of the use of screen tone. And then he just has these crazy creature, whatever those kind of the character design on those guys. I mean, this is a quintessential example of why I love James Heron. And this still serves as one of my favorite pieces. And this is one where I do remember at this point, the drops were pretty competitive. So I knew this was coming out and I clicked, I went immediately for it. But just a wild image of, and proper tribute to Eric Powell and everything. But just makes for an awesome dynamic image,
Yeah, well, like Rich James says, great textures. I love the use of zip tone on here. Super dynamic, just like you'd expect out of Heron.
Yeah. It's just so many of his elements are there,
Now, how long ago did you pick this up?
This is probably 2018, 19.
So this is early. Is this like one of your first, I guess, covers that you would have picked up?
Yeah, it is an early cover. It is
early
definitely. Cover. I'm trying to, it very well may be. Trying to think what other still don't buy a lot of covers to this day. You know what? I for lack of one that I can't think of, I would say this one's close. It was this or Farmhand. I have Rob Guillory's or Guillory's Farmhand #2 cover too. That was around the same time, I would say. But yeah, this is definitely one of the few. I do not have many.
There, Alberto had to ask, do you have any Captain America art?
Yeah, you know what's crazy? I don't have not a single piece. Not a single one. I don't even think I have a panel page with Captain America on it. I did play the Sega Genesis Classic, though, the Avengers. which
Well,
was
you got
amazing.
that going for you.
Yeah, so you see, that's where I pulled. I had Captain America action figures and everything, but yeah, there's no, not yet.
Hurting Alberto's feelings.
Well, what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to commission Captain America just getting annihilated by somebody. That's what we got to do, Alberto.
I think I played the stand-up arcade game that had Captain America, and I think that was the Avengers game.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was 4-player. You had Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch and Vision. It was fun.
It was. Yeah, I had one of those. I actually had a stand-up arcade game for a while, and I'd swap out those JAMA boards in there, and so I had that. But
Yeah,
but that's it for. I don't have any cap art either, Tyler. So we have that in common.
yeah.
All right. So good one here. Eric Wenger says he has screenshots of me. Yeah, that's true. Those will forever be on the internet. I know that. So let's see. Where do we go from here? Though? Oh, Daniel Warren Johnson. Now this caused quite a stir when you got this one, right? I mean, there were a lot of people who were blown away, and I would assume you were one of them.
Yeah, and you what the craziest part about this is that I said Spider-Man. That was the commission request. So there is no prompt for Daniel. So he is doing what he does best now, as you can see later on in his career. But this is one of the first really emotional slice of life pieces or slice of life commissions that he did. I don't know if it is technically the first. I think it might be. I would probably need to confirm that with Felix or Daniel, but I know it is very early. There was maybe one other one around this batch that was the really, really emotional thing. And yes, Jason, you do have a print of that. That was my hero's gift. I had Rico Renzi, the Marvel colorist. One of George's buddies, I ended up commissioning to color a couple of my commissions. And I did this for a print at Heroes that we're not going to tell Marvel about. But I handed it out to friends and everybody. So it made it really made for a fun and memorable one. And I remember seeing this on Instagram when it posted and not sure if it was mine. Like I had that thing, like I think this one's mine, but it had like 40 or 50,000 likes. And I just remember thinking like, oh my gosh, like it just blew up. But as you can see, the just all these different textures at play here. The best little touch is the kids reading ASM up in the top window.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that little attention to detail that Daniel, he puts in almost everything that he does. But you also just see it's just a really emotional and humanitarian piece. What is crazy about this too is that this batch of commissions, as well as the one after this, Daniel did continuity in some of these, meaning that he continued, themes from one piece to the next. And for example, this one that you see, if you see the pizza, the facade on the front of the building, Eric Wenger, who ended up getting a commission, a Daniel Warren Johnson commission from another collector, has Spider-Man swing through the cityscape. And you can see this same facade in Eric's commission. So that kind of shows Daniel continuing the storytelling. And he's done that, as I'll show you with the next one as well, that he has worked in these little kind of Easter eggs of continuity, which add to a whole, bring it to a different level pretty much.
Here's the color version by Rico that you were mentioning.
And the big joke here is clearly Mike Spicer is angry that, Mike Spicer colors all of Daniel Warren Johnson's stuff. So I did get Rico to color this, and I think he just did an amazing job with it. I mean, it's just, he decided to do a nighttime scene, where he could have selected daytime, and he kind of gets the neon glow a little bit. I mean, it's purple hues and stuff in it. I just, talk about bringing this to life one step further. I mean, it's just, but I knew this was proper to do that with this one. So, and I was so excited when Rico sent them too. It was just like, oh my gosh, like these are amazing. You know, it could totally be a published cover as far as that goes. I see we got a big boo from booing.
Well, hey, if Jason D'Ambrosio says it's cool, we know that this is a good piece of art. I know. I mean, it made a lot of waves as an image, even before, like you said, before you knew about it. It was yours, and it was on social media.
I'm flattered to this moment.
Loved it.
Yeah, to still have it at this moment. I mean, I really am. So, I want to say quick shout out to Raymar Brunson, and I see Jeremy Heiler had some artists stop in there. So I see Brunson's still in the chat. So he's one definitely worth checking out. You know, give him a follow on there. But and there's Jeremy. So he got that. But yeah, if I could keep this thing from changing colors, it might be okay. But,
the show would be only half as fun.
Yeah, but, I know it has to be weird. This is the weird aspect for you.
See, Chris was booing because you had mentioned.
Eric, just because I brought him up because I named him.
But now you've mentioned Chris's name twice and Eric's only once in the last 5 minutes. So Chris is, if we're keeping score, Chris.
Yes, which we are. So, and I was saying boo earns, so that's another point for Eric. So we're going to leave it at a 2-2 tie. Everybody, keep everybody happy there. But there's more Winger talk to come, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe right away.
Yeah. So we're gonna get it. We're gonna get the elephant out of the room right now.
All right.
This is a perfect example too, or a perfect time to. I know Daryl couldn't make it. Daryl was supposed to watch a chat. He did text me very, very kindly and said he wasn't able to make it because he is in the middle of binge watching Gargoyles, the animated series. Daryl's a huge Gargoyles fan, and most people don't know that about him. But so it is a little upsetting he couldn't make it, but I totally get it. He's really deep into these episodes. But yeah.
Look at Jason D'Ambrosio thinks this piece is going to end up with him one day because he's the unstoppable guy.
I think I like that just to make Eric angry. I think we could do that. We're going to send this to Jason. I've thought about that a couple times that we could. That we could send that. And yes, I love it. Rich Danny's worked. I knew you did, Rich. I knew you worked on Gargoyles too. And Daryl is obsessed with it.
But now this one, Eric Wenger does covet this piece in many ways because of that Spidey.
And now what I always said, and you guys be the judge on this. I'm not going to chime in, but you've seen my first DWJ Spider-Man, then this one. Mm-hmm. The one swinging through the city that Eric has would create this perfect, trifecta. No better word to say it. But if we kind of had the pizza, the swinging, and then the action. So I do think that Eric will consider getting rid of his, and then I can kind of complete the set. And then
I see your point there. Now, what were the prompts on this piece?
Spider-Man versus Juggernaut.
So you actually did give the.
I did. I picked two characters because, and the reason why I did that is I got the first Spider-Man, and I said, well, at that point, Daniel was known for this dynamic action, no different than today. And so when I said Spider-Man, when I first opened that or got the commission, I was like, this isn't the dynamic action piece. And I wasn't, I can't say I was disappointed because that's not the right word. But I remember when I first got it that I was like, wow, I commissioned Daniel Johnson for this crazy action piece. And I got this really emotional, touching thing that it's its own different beast instead. So I was pleased with that, but I knew what had to happen the next list. And you want to talk about anxiety trying to make that list again. And also that this is where I had this idea way before the commission was even announced. So I was ready to type it in. It wasn't even about when this gets announced, I know what I'm typing in there. And sounds like I don't really deserve it. Well, we're going to let our fellow CAF members be the judge of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yet again, if you zoom in on Juggernaut's face, which I love, the kind of ominous, just he's a scowl almost, and you see his face mask is broken. Colossus broke that in a previous commission. So there's the continuity again, that Daniel did a commission for somebody else. And I am pretty sure I'm not sure who has it. I think it is on CAF of Colossus kind of reaching up and grabbing Juggernaut by the face mask. And this is this is almost the aftermath of that he's chasing Spider-Man. And he's angrier because he's just got into this, fight with Colossus. So you see the imagination there at Daniel Warren Johnson just and incorporating those things. I think that's just such a wonderful thing that he still continues to do to this day.
Yeah. I mean, Rich says it. You've been saying that the continuity idea is clever, and it gives him something to kind of think about, right? I mean, before he starts the commission, he can kind of think about, how is this thing going to fit in continuity with other pieces I've done. I mean, that's something that is that's just right. Exactly. I mean, it's a part of the work that you would never expect, but it's fun that the fans have seen it and they know that it's there.
Well, then you see that he can write all these stories too. He's a writer as well, and that's what shows you how talented he really is. Because he can write just as good as he can draw. But
George Hodge says, yeah, maybe that's what we need to have at OAX one year is a DWJ commission set that ties the pieces together. That might be kind of cool, actually.
Wow. If I could get the piece from Eric, I could easily get 3 of them. That would make sense right there. So
yeah, that's there's something there that might be kind of interesting to see. But who knows? Maybe he's pulling it all together in his book.
Right. And like we're saying here is that you really don't know. I've not seen every one of them. Maybe there's something only he knows in there too, to a degree, or you don't we're missing parts of that. But
all right. Well, where do we go from here? We've got this one always brings a tear. To Wenger's eyes.
It's so good. It's so good. It's still one of my favorites too. I mean, it really is. It's hard to pick between either one of them too. But
well, some of these are your most commented artworks in your CAF.
Are they? And it's funny. I wasn't necessarily looking at that, but I did want to. I did want for this one at least because I had done it. That I wanted to pick some of those, I guess, marquee pieces. And I know that's like I said, I could totally do a different.
No, there's not. I was only bringing it up to say that these are pieces that I think are very popular with other collectors, and there's great reasons why we're talking about them. I mean, this piece by Peach is fantastic, and it's I've always liked this one in your CAF, and there's a reason it's one of the more commented ones. It's
amazing. I mean, it's the story for this is insane too, and I think that this is another one of those eye-catching pieces, and because I love Spider-Man, and especially Venom, and I am from the Maximum Carnage era. I know it probably gets panned and symbiote stuff gets made fun of to some degree, depending on what year when you read comic books. But there is something about the symbiote suit that I love. I think it's the darkness part of it. But Peach did such a insane job of capturing the moment of when my initial thought was the sound and fire damages the symbiote, but in the bell tower, the church tower, church bell immediately brings this thought. But I think it could be interpreted as a number of those things. It's anything that causes the symbiote distress, and you can see he's covering his ears too, so that's why I do go back to sound, and we know symbiote takes it. But the strands, even every little strand that Peach did in this, you can just feel that moment, that moment of, almost of the symbiote feeling excruciating pain. And it's just done so well.
Now, did you pick this up from Peach?
Oh, this is too good. This is too good. And this will never happen again.
All right.
So I messaged her on Instagram. This is 2000, whatever. I don't remember. I'm going to be off on the year. Neither here nor there. But I messaged her and I said, hey, she had posted a Venom cover that on Instagram. I liked the post. I was like, hey, is there any chance you would sell that that cover? Because I had money set aside for a peach piece. I'd seen a couple of other things she'd done, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to have some type of original. And I messaged her. This is like, I want to say a Wednesday or a Thursday, and we're in the week. And I'm like, hey, what is this Venom for sale? And she's like, oh my, she's like, it didn't sell. Or she said it's sold already. I'm sorry, I'm misspeaking. But she said it's sold already, but I have this other one. And I was like, well, send me that. And it was this. And this was
you didn't even see it? You didn't know which one? Or
no. This was not posted. This was not posted online. And
Tyler, nobody buys art without seeing it first.
Yeah, no. In the message. She didn't post it on her social media.
Okay, but she showed it to you.
Oh, yeah. In Instagram message, through Messenger, she did.
All right. But she just hadn't shared it publicly with
anyone. Hadn't posted it yet. And because I said, is the Venom for sale? And she's like, no, it's gone. She's like, but I have this one. And I was like, oh, she's like, this isn't used yet. I don't know what it's for yet, but it's going to be a cover. And I was like, oh my gosh, I like this way better than the other one. But by the time this messaging rolls around, and this is where I don't tell this story perfectly, but I ended up saying, oh my gosh, yeah, give me, I would love to buy that. How much is it? She replies back on a Friday. It was a Friday evening, and says how much it is. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. And as I was doing that, I go back to her Instagram page. Well, it was the same night that they had the Eisner Awards. And I didn't know that. I mean, I kind of knew it was around the ballpark. You see him on social media, but that exact night, she won the Eisner for the best covers. And there's so I think that's 2021, but I don't want to mess that year up. But it was like a couple of Vertigo covers. I think there were like 4 or 5 covers named. And she did win the Eisner that evening. So my message, my follow-up message was like, well, I think I need to send you a proper congratulations as well. So that was just totally real that I'm talking to her as she's winning the Eisner. So that was just crazy, crazy timing. Oh my gosh, you definitely, David, if you send me the picture of it, I almost can, it was like a side shot of Venom with the teeth. And if I saw it, I would be able to tell you immediately. So no trade, not anymore. Because that I ended up with, but it is funny because that, it's like, that cover is out there somewhere. So no regrets on this one at all.
Mm-hmm.
I did make a faux pas though. I posted this to CAF before the book was published. I don't know if you're supposed to do that with Marvel books, but I did it anyways, and nobody noticed. So,
well, if they didn't contact you, you're okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was going to say
they Marvel and DC both pay attention to CAF, but for other things, usually people posting prints and things like that.
That's right. I'm just here to promote.
I've never had them asked to take a piece like this down.
Yeah, I didn't think anybody paid attention that close, but I was also like, I don't know the rules of.
Nice pickup. Good story. And that leads us to Matt Allison.
Yeah, you better get ready for this.
We're going to have to zoom in on this one, I think.
Yeah, but yeah. So, but to close on the peach, I did do fridge magnets of peach for Heroes.
I'm sorry. Here we go.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Is that I saw somebody said they had a magnet. So you made
there's a fridge magnet, and I owe Kelsey a magnet because I thought I was out of magnets, and I found 4 more. So.
Well, see, now you are breaking rules with Marvel when you're doing stuff like that. Now you're asking for trouble.
Well, these are just.
I think as long as you don't sell them, you're okay.
No, they're not for. So these are gifts for pals.
Okay.
That is it.
Well, then I think you're okay there.
Yeah, sure. Hopefully.
Now, what do we hear? Calamity of Challenge.
Yeah.
Number 3.
So this is Cancor, and this is so.
My goodness.
Okay, what I guess the easiest way to say it is start off with Cancor, the hardcover that most people know released. Is comprised of a bunch of the issues starting back from about 2014. Cancor 1 and 2, Sweet Sepulchre, Calamity of Challenge. Calamity of Challenge came out in 2016, I believe. It is a 4-issue series the entire thing is in the Cancor hardcover. So you just don't see it listed as Calamity of Challenge in there, but they were broken into four issues. On this piece, the detail, as you can see, is crazy. I think Matt had 50 or 60 hours at least into this. It's just a exercise in madness, pretty much, where you're just, he's creating this weird giant head planet. Because the page before kind of if you notice up in the top left, when you zoom out, pan out all the way, there's a little, they're getting ready, like this kind of the top of the forehead protrusion right there is a place you can actually enter into that, which I think happens on the next page. But this is so this page was in Matt's portfolio at 2019 Heroes. I did not buy it then. I saw it. It was somewhat expensive. I bought 2 other Cancor pages instead, that Heroes, and I left this in the portfolio. I didn't regret it, but I remember driving back from Heroes that Sunday and thinking, oh, that's still in there. Like being at least cognizant that it was still in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then fast forward, I don't know, it was 4 or 5 years later, a CAF member, Jason K., posted this randomly on a CAF alert. And I'm just lucky I replied as fast as I did, because I ended up, I told him how happy I was. I mean, I was ecstatic that he was willing to sell this. So for this one to fall back in my lap was one of those things that just like, oh my goodness, because that is the beginning of Matt Allison's crazy detail right there.
Well, it's a beautiful piece. I remember you got the piece that Matt donated to the first OEX.
I did, yeah.
That was a good one.
It is a good one. I considered picking that one too. I mean, it was and yet again, just like with James Herron or Daniel Warren Johnson, I have trouble. Any given day, I might pick a different one. But because I have a lot of good examples, so very thankful. Yeah, and you see George and that is not because Matt was doing PCP, but I think that's more of the effort of craziness, is like a little tribute to the craziness there. But it is, and I've scoured this looking for other little letters. I don't find anything else in there, but you see when you zoom in just how much, how much landscape he was covering like that, and then it zooms out to actually, it creates an image.
Yeah, like one of those
What's it
fish.
called? Yeah, not a mosaic or
I know what. Yeah, but this is it's phenomenal. As only
just crazy detail.
Wow.
So I can't get over this one still after, and just very, very thankful to have it.
Oh, it does say take PCP. I didn't even. I was trying to figure out the A. There's a T.
Where does it say take? See,
there's TAKE.
Oh, yeah, I guess there is a K. I've never noticed the take to this moment.
Nope, me neither. I was trying to figure. I thought it said all ALL.
Oh, got NSN Art, the eagle-eyed CAF member right there. Gotta love it. Yeah.
There we go. Incredible.
Yeah. Just wild detail. All right.
Yeah.
So not messing around on the next one either.
No, not at all. You got, Magneto. This is a commission, of course. It should be a cover.
Yeah, it should be a cover. Should be
Magneto,
an excellent cover.
Wolverine, Cyclops. Sentinel. Unbelievable.
Yes. And so this is the most direction I've ever given in a commission. And it's not only I picked this not really because of that. I just picked this because I like this because of the wires. The wires are a signature Cancor element. They appear in Cancor. They still have, and as soon as I saw them, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to commission him and ask him to do wires. Like the more wires, the better. And you still find he's doing wires and everything. And still to these in the new book there are wires in his newer ones. He's there you go, the director. Now the biggest thing with this is look at poor Cyclops there, Bill. Do you see him? He is in big trouble right there.
I agree. I mean, I'm looking at him, but it's funny. I commissioned Matt to do a Cyclops piece for OAX, and
Yes,
he draws Cyclops pretty muscular. He's not
he
slim
does. I
somber.
saw you. I remember yours too. I liked yours.
Yeah,
Actually.
he's like hulked out there. So even though Cyclops is in trouble here,
Yeah.
I think he's just baiting Magneto.
Oh, is that you don't? Yeah, he's not just true
Uh-uh.
toast in there.
No, Wolverine's the one who's about to have his skeleton
he's
ripped out of him.
Yeah, he's gonna get all that. Yeah, that's toast. He's finished there. But so on the direction of this, I knew I wanted wires. Okay, but so I had the idea. I was like, I want Magneto, but do it Cancor style.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Magnetor or whatever. So you put OR on the end of it. But I told Cam at the time that I wanted Magneto to have the X-Men trapped in all these wires, or maybe the wreckage of a Sentinel. I thought that was a really good idea too. Like get a mangled Sentinel to be part of the wires or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was about a paragraph description, and Matt followed through to the T with it as far as the execution goes. But it just so much time goes into these.
Well, this one's gorgeous. I think you had this one colored too, right?
Didn't I? Rico do this one, and
wow.
I had to and I told him classic '90s X-Men, if there was one. But he just captured. It adds another layer to it. It really does. And his buddy Jared Fletcher did the logo too. So Rico did not do, but he actually had a friend do an X-Men logo. It does logos. Do an X-Men logo for the color commission. So that really brought it to life. And you love the use of the white right there. I mean, it really.
Yeah, the color choices are
perfect. Just like Adam says. And Adam's another artist. I got to meet him at IC3, so that's awesome to see him in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
But you see, like I haven't done a lot of the color commissions. I just had Rico do a batch of them with like these two and one other one. But it's definitely something worth considering because it brings it to life.
Well, congrats all around. I mean,
yeah,
these are all well. So far, we've only seen 6 pieces, and they're all amazing.
Yes, yeah, thanks. And those are those first ones, DWJ, Heron, and Matt Allison. Those guys are definitely my mainstays, though. I think, and I've really liked them ever since I started.
Mm-hmm. So this is Sam Keith.
Yeah. So I am a big Marvel Comics, MCP, Marvel Comics Presents Sam Keith fan, as well as the Max. So it's not just that, but Sam Keith's work in the late 80s like this, and this is one of the biggest reasons I bought this from Albert. This is 89, I think, or that this piece was affordable for me. I couldn't swing an MCP page, but this also captured his style. And then it also has so much just weird creatures in it. And that was the selling point all the way. The one and the kind of the guy with the wings just to the right of the guy speaking. This one, yes, yeah. I think that is just such a spot on, example of the style that he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And and there's even the clothing for the characters. It's kind of has like a Victorian style era to it, and it's just like this wall of these odd creatures. But this was used for Nemesis the Warlock, which is a UK series, I believe, mid-late 80s by Kevin O'Neill drew it. And then when it came to the United States, Fleetway and Quality Comics picked it up. And then they had Fleetway Quality Comic is the Sam Keith cover.
Mm-hmm.
So these are actually variant covers when they came to the U.S. and they were, if you go look at the originals, they were like I want to say tricolor or trichromatic color, real crazy looking, not necessarily appeasing colored covers to these.
Interesting, yeah. I've been reading some back issue 2000 ADs, and I've been seeing the ads for Nemesis by O'Neill, and I'm curious about it because it looks really interesting.
Yeah, the character design, Nemesis, the Warlock himself, is kind of like this dragon-looking character, and Sam Keith did a couple. Nemesis is not in this cover; he is in some of the other ones. I think Albert still has a couple of them, but it's still a neat book, and it's just, I think it's an odd thing, that it gets a U.S. release, and then they have Sam Keith do those covers, instead of keeping the regular O'Neill covers too. I was going to say, you need to go up to the top right guy, the trophy head, and the top right there, down one. There you go. That guy right there. What does that remind everybody of? And that's an ongoing joke Daryl and I have with comic art. That if you look hard enough.
Yeah. No, you don't have to look too hard.
Nope.
I mean, this looks like a urinal right here, and so it was bringing me back to the Stingray conversation earlier. So
yeah, that's right. There you go. But yes, Sam Keith is known to sneak them in there. Make no qualms about it. I know another collector in the chat right now that has one that I've spotted a similar thing in his piece, but that's not George Hodge by any chance.
We're not doing any explaining, Marcus.
Oh yeah, but just so flattered to have an original by Sam Keith. That's one of these things that when I started this, I'd have been like, I'm not gonna have it. I would never get it. I would never be able to obtain this. And I've been lucky. I've seen there are a couple other collectors that we all know that have MCP pages. One of them has a couple pages, and the other one has a full 8-page story. So I'm thankful just to even I've got to see some of those pages up close, and I think that's awesome. So
you read that?
There you go. It's all one well-placed urinal pad, Stingray. Don't worry, your goodwill's there. You're I was gonna say, we're going to the next one, but yeah. Oh, they're really hammering you, aren't they?
They are. Yes, they are.
Hammering them, yes.
But here you go. Look at this. This is we got to see this one. This is
OAX pickup. OAX1 pickup right there.
Because John had this on his table both days of the show, right? I mean,
that's how I. You want to talk about a good feeling is when you walk up to his table and it's on that little thing. He brings that thing to all his shows too. So I've seen other commissions on it, and sure enough, when I walked up to the table, it's on that little display thing, and it's so flattering that you look at that, you're like, I believe this belongs to me, and he's like, yes, you can take it right off of there. So that was pretty crazy, but I was so thrilled with this. And you talk about, there's excitement for pre-show commissions a lot of times. I remember Heroes a couple times, just nowadays we do tend to spoil them on social media, but I love a good commission reveal. I think it's amazing. What Tom McDonald just did at Heroes with the Miles Wall part is a perfect example why we need to get back to that. Because so many times, even an artist, and it's all in goodwill, but even an artist will send you the commission, on Instagram before you've seen it. And that's because everybody's excited to see it and get it out there. But this was so cool to walk up this, not really knowing what it was, and then get it and be like, oh my gosh, he knocked this out of the park. Totally captured the cyber, the Blood Hungry run. But also, when I talked to Wayshack about this, and you can see this, there is heavy Street Fighter 2 influence in this, and like fighting games, Marvel versus Capcom, and that is it's Akuda Man, I think his name, Akira Yasuda is the artist, and I may be pronouncing his last name wrong or might not be saying it right, but. He was the original artist for the Street Fighter 2 concept designs and Marvel vs. Capcom. It's Akiman Akiman, Akiman is his name. But Wayshak took heavy influence from him, and he's a big fan of his work. So, and that comes through in this. It almost has this video game fighting quality to it. But then, as far as the characters, he nailed them, and still makes it still brings that Wayshak style to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, Ian. Oh, yeah. What's up, Ian?
Well, no, this was great. I mean, I walked past it numerous times, and it was probably already yours, right? You had bought, yeah.
Yeah, it's paid for now. Yeah, it's already paid for, so you just
But seeing this piece, that's why I commissioned him in year 2, because I mean, I'd seen, of course, I see the stuff on CAF all the time, and I see other stuff that he had done, but seeing it in person, and and having a piece like this staring at you the whole weekend, you feel like a dummy for not getting something. So
well, if anything, it's just. I'm such a fan of his, and I really think everybody should. He's worth a look. Even the new Violator pages. I mean, his published pages are great. They're big. But what's crazy about these is this is on really thick stock. This is on that heavy. I don't know what you call that board. It's like it's like 3/16. It doesn't bend. It's not on like Bristol.
Right. It is
it's
a heavy
like
board.
A painting board. Yeah, it's a heavy board. It's like a painting board.
Yep. Nope, I remember it. I mean, I think he did those card art pieces on the heavier board too that he had at that first show. I didn't get to see what he brought in year 2.
I saw some. Somebody got I believe, I want to say Tarek got a Galactus Silver Surfer commission from him year 2.
Yeah,
I think
I got a Thor. It came out amazing.
Yeah,
and my George Pratt were the 2 favorite pieces I got.
See, I'm kicking myself for not getting George Pratt. I saw Jason's George Pratt too, and then you got. I'm like, what was I? Clearly not paying enough attention. Well, if Matt Allison's coming, I get to
buy everything.
So that's half of it.
Right. This is on thicker board too. Yeah. All right. Well, what do we got? Oh, Piscor. Well, this is that's right. I didn't know when this was in the order, but this is just a great
so piece. This was a pre-hero. It was a Heroes 2019, that same year pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Ed had got on Twitter and said, "I'm going to Heroes. If anybody wants anything, message me." And I knew that was the moment. So I said, "Are you going to sell any of these pages?" And he actually threw about 4 or 5 at me. He said, "What do you want?" And I threw Juggernaut out there. I said the Brood. And he, what's crazy is that Twitter deleted all those messages. So I can't go back and find the history of that. But because I wanted to at least find some of those other pages, the originals. And because I had the choice between this one and a really good Brood page. Probably one of the better Brood ones is that storyline, which I really do like. But when I saw this and I saw the team shot and that long horizontal panel you've got highlighted right there, at the top of it, I knew that this is the history of Juggernaut in one page. So I knew I had to go with this one. And in that sense, it made that choice easy. Sometimes these choices can be really difficult if there are 3 really good examples because you don't know what to do. And every page was really good, but I knew that I was like, if I don't pick anything but the Juggernaut page, I'm going to regret not going with that one.
Right.
But you see what an amazing storyteller Ed was from panel to panel. And then his cartooning styles kind of come through, but it's so X-Men. And there's, even like that cross-hatching panel on the left there. He just made some really, he was just making these amazing design choices. But I'm very, very thankful to have this page because he didn't sell any of them. I think David Mandel might have one that he got from him, but.
Well, it's really nice, and this is your second Juggernaut of the night. You know that. I mean,
it is. Yeah, and Jason knows that. I think these are the only 2 Juggernaut. Oh no, I take that. There's a 3rd Juggernaut piece. I'm gonna think of. I do like him. I like.
Jason's feeling targeted tonight,
and I like it's Spider-Man world anytime Spider-Man encountered Juggernaut, or Spider-Man and X-Men, or Spider-Man and X-Force, any kind of that crossover stuff I loved. But I don't think Jason has to worry too much. I'm not going to go after any published. I did get to see Jason's art. It's amazing too. But I don't think I will be going after any of his pieces. But so you're safe. You're safe for now.
For now, Jason.
Yeah, for now.
But you've teased it. Now we will be seeing another one now.
Yeah.
After Pittsburgh, you have to have a piece by Jim Rugg.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And I think the same year. I believe these are both 19. So these were the Ed page was one that was select. That's the beauty with Ed's page, was picked up and paid for. And you just had to go get it. So it wasn't about picking. But no, it's true. Yeah. Yeah, just remove him. Just get him out of here. This, I actually stood in line. This is when, I think this is the year that Jim had Grand Design Hulk out. So it might have been the year after. I get them mixed up. But I would run to Jim Rugg's booth, one of the first ones, and this was in there. And I am a diehard Shaolin Cowboy fan. And I knew that they love Uncle Jeff on the Kayfabe show. So him doing this, I knew was a proper tribute to Jeff. But it was also his super clean line work. And the pose is so imaginative. I mean, it's just like this weird contortion. He's falling, but still like pulling off that move that only Shaolin Cowboy can do. So I thought, as far as I'm concerned, this is a cover. Just put it on something there. But I love how clean Jim's lines are. I mean, it's true talent to form. This is a perfect example of form as well with this piece.
It's fantastic.
Just really cool.
Well, I love Jim's work, and this is just so clean. Yeah. Just pretty much what you'd want there.
Yeah, he even did the hand. He does the hand lettering too. So it's just such a personalized. And this is just an illustration. It's just a specialty piece he had in the portfolio. So and that's why you just go early, just go to Jim's table early,
No, that's a good one. That's a really good one. I've always. Oh wait! So you're you put a lot of thought. You're curating.
I told you, I curated. Because I like I said, there's a whole indie curation too. This is a whole. So this is so big for me as a moment as a collector, and I owe that so much to Rob R, the Cosmic Ghost Rider himself, because I sold one of my pages that Rob had liked to Rob to help get this page to help fund this cover. So this was a big deal for me as far as wanting a full-blown Jeff Darrow piece, because I have some other smaller specialty pieces, but this was a published cover to his newest, the newest book of them is called Cruel to Be Kin, and he had done the U.S. release. This is the French hardcover, and I remember seeing this. He posted this on Facebook. Jeff only posts on Facebook. He put this on there way before this edition came out. And I remember seeing this image and just being like, oh my gosh, this is quintessential Darrow. I mean, as a cover, it has every part of it. It has the insane detail. It has, you get a little bit of crazy lizard with the guns, and then go to the right, far right, and then scroll down about halfway. You'll see right down. Yeah, see, we have a couple skulls down here in the corner, Bill.
Yes, we do. My goodness.
That's another Darrow signature move. There's a beer can up north of that a little bit. So there's just a lot of stuff to pour over. I actually made I should have sent you the picture. I made a frame for this. I made my own frame out of wood molding, and then bought some framing supplies, and I did this a proper frame job, with the same colors of the book. But what's crazy? This is on one piece. This is on a single piece of 23 by 29 Bristol paper, It isn't vellum, it's not board, but it is paper. But it is on a full sheet. This scan, I cropped out the top. Oh, you know what? Yo's right. There might be on the roof. There's dogs and there's lizards, but he's exactly right. That is a trademark. But yeah. So this is on one page, and I think that makes it even better. But up top, the image size of this is 18.5 by 20.5. So to give you the actual image is 18 by 20 at least. And then there is a bunch of blank margin that I did not scan or left off, that the whole headdress and everything was on there. But this lets you kind of get into the nitty gritty of it.
Mikhail wants to know where you got the wood.
Yeah. It's a little lumber shop. It does not say take PCP in the rocks.
But you can keep looking if you want, NSN.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stupid little Easter eggs. Yeah. Yeah, Chris, that is not my politics. That is Mr. Darrow's politics. But we do share the same views. I'm not afraid to say that one bit. Yeah, he has a lot of QAnon, Trump. He is poking fun at the conspiracy theorists. But this is all about Komodo dragons that smoke cigarettes and speak to each other. And if you notice on the roof, there are tons. Each rooftop has, there's a handful of them. If you search kind of Where's Waldo, you can find Komodo dragons on there.
I don't see a dog pooping though, Yo Curry.
There might not. I don't think there is. I do have a cover. I have Dark Horse Presents #1 cover pencils, and there's some dogs on that one. And there's a Dark Horse page too that I posted that has them. But yeah, you're right. That's missing that one on there. But yeah, just amazing to get a Darrow like that. That's a bucket list for me. I can check that off,
And I know NSN is a fan of.
Yeah, I know. I have been to NSN art. I believe me. I looked at NSN art a couple times before I bought this. I've been to NSN art after. So yeah, I just draw him in. I'll draw the dog in there. So I wanted a Preacher page. Preacher is one of those series, just like Walking Dead, around that same time that I got all the trade paperbacks and read them, and I was like, this is insane. I always love Garth Ennis. Like the Punisher story. I'm a huge Garth Ennis fan. Was lucky enough to meet him at Baltimore a couple years ago too. This is this checks so many boxes for me for a Preacher interior page. It's an early one. It is Tulip. It's Tulip and Jesse. But it is also, it's not technically the first appearance. She appears on the page before this, but this is the introduction or the proper family introduction to Madame Langelle, who is Jesse's grandmother. Mm-hmm. This is a big plot moment too, because what you realize, this is the first page that shows Jesse and Tulip tied up in the chairs. Tulip doesn't leave the chair in this story. So there is this leads to the death of Tulip. So it is a big story moment. And it also has the big joke with this one. If you see those signatures at the top, it has two of the most perfectly placed Preacher signatures on an interior page. I got this from Kevin Smith's auction from Bodner's.
Oh, all right.
So the cherry on top, as a diehard Clerks and Mallrats fan and Dogma, and the whole thing, is that this came from Kevin Smith. This was in his collection, and I did good. It was one of the earlier pages in the auction. I got it for what I thought was a very fair price, and I think that it is just it was one that checked. I'd been looking for a Preacher page for every bit of 3 to 4 years. So this was one I was very patient with. Probably the most patient I've been with anything. So
yeah, that was an interesting auction.
Yeah, that was crazy. And I think it only got as more expensive as it went.
It
so
did.
This was one of the first, or I believe it might have been the second page that went. So it was really early. So
well, Great pickup there, man.
Yeah. So that's another, these are all this little stretcher, these ones that artists that are, some older artists that have been there that aren't necessarily newer, but have had big influence on me too. And that's where it leads right to Corben. I love Hellboy. I always have, just as much as Spider-Man. I think that's part of the horror aspect that I am drawn into of this hobby. But Corben, I think, is just so out of this world. And I really discovered Corben through the Crooked Man story, which is probably one of his most famous, if not Hellboy in Mexico. But Crooked Man is set in West Virginia. So there was a big draw that I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. But then I've still learning that a Crooked Man page is not easy to come by. So that is still officially on the list all the way. But this is the first actual page. I did get this from Dona on one of the drops off of the website. And they use this whole, see this bottom panel sequence. I wanted to include this. We have skulls again, Bill. So
we do
proper skulls. But this interior is used on that set of 4 vertical panels is used on the back cover of the Being Human issue. So it's actually the back cover too. Those 4. But just great, kind of macabre, little touch of horror. The whole discovery page. You get Hellboy, you get Roger in there too. But just a good example. I wanted a good Corben example, and I think that's a good one. It is not my Crooked Man page though, or Hellboy in Mexico page. So, there's Mr. Siegel.
Yes, we mentioned his name. He didn't appear when we mentioned it either.
Yeah, we brought up Chew real quick.
Now this is gorgeous, but I would assume you've got Crooked Man set up as a keyword alert on Heritage, CAF, eBay, you name it.
No, I don't. I have Corben. I just have Richard Corben.
Just Corben. So you'll be able to see everything.
Yeah, so anything Corben. But I did right before Heroes. I went. If anybody's listening to this, I did go for a page on the Corben drop. I didn't get it. I was not fat. It was a Camazot's Bat page. I have an idea of one collector that might have it, but I'm not really actively seeking it or anything. But it was from the second part of the story though. But it was still a really nice one. So, and I was not fast enough. So.
Hey, it happens, right? You can't always be first.
And that was a good reminder. And it was like, yep, you didn't get that one. So you're not going to get all of them.
Well, I think it's awesome.
Thanks. I'm just happy to have that. And so this is where I segue into, since I don't have a Crooked Man page, I found Mark Laszlo, and he is an artist. I'll tell you to go follow right now. It's Laszlo. Mark went to Heroes most years, but he had done I'd met him at Heroes. He had done a Hellboy illustration which I bought, and then the year later I commissioned him to do this, and it is cover quality. His style is just so unique, and it fits within the world of Hellboy. He's actually done a couple of the Hellboy books now. I think he's done a one-shot. I think there's a winter one-shot, and I know there's at least one there. But he ended up using this as a cover. I did commission this, and he used this as a cover for the Hellboy, the Crooked Man, when the movie just came out here about 2 years ago. They released a version in Turkey, and he the Turkish version, and they used his cover, of course, and so this did get turned into a cover. So I was really excited to see that, and I was really proud of him I think he did just captured this so well. And it's not an easy topic to address. I think you have to know the story fairly well.
Well, it's beautiful. I mean, the line work in here is just it's so fluid. I love it. My goodness.
That style, I'm telling you, it fits the Mignolaverse. I mean, it does. All the way. It does. So I'm a big fan of all those artists that are adjacent and have done Hellboy stuff and BPRD. I really like that whole universe. But and you know, like I've said this, you know, I still don't have a proper Hellboy interior too from, you know, the real deal, you know, so those are still maybe some bucket list things that need to happen. But you know, there's a good horror vibe to this too. You know, it's got, I mean, Crooked Man is horror too, but it, you know, just the moon in the background and the texture in the trees. Oh yeah. James has said this before too. Thank you, James. It's flattering, you know, but I do try. I mean, I buy a lot of my stuff off of stuff that catches my eye, so that's good in saying that, you know, if it catches everybody else's, then that's a good thing, I think. Yeah, and Ian's right. I mean, I still want more art from Mark Laszlo. I think he's fantastic. So he's definitely one I would tell you to go check out.
Yeah, we needed a list. You know, we needed was a list for tonight. What I asked you in advance for was like everybody's socials, and I could be,
you're right.
And
that's almost like where I like Mark Laszlo is one of those that where I could do a curated list of that. You know what I mean? Where it is just indie guys just, you know, you can follow them and you put their tag, and that's a good idea. Yeah, Yo Curry's going to steal it. That's right. See, I got to watch him at cons now. I was comfortable sitting a couple feet from him there. Now it's tense me, tense up.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it'll do. It'll go back in a Felix drop, won't
it? Oh boy! All right, now something from Mike Allred.
Yeah, time to get serious here.
Yeah, moving into some Twin Peaks territory.
That's right, Tom. Tom's number one Marvel fans looking out for me. I do want to tell Tom, Tom's video was awesome I did go back and watch with the Iron Man core and the Hydra hood ornament. I had no clue you had all that stuff. So I'm going to try to buy some of it from you.
Drink. Yeah. Oh yeah. Get him the drink there.
Getting there. All right. On to Mike Allred. I had the CEO of Miller's, Mr. Simon himself. He helped me with this commission. What I didn't fully know is that Mike Allred is a diehard Twin Peaks fan. Arguably, he knows it as good as I do, if not better. I gave Simon this long-winded description of what I wanted this to be. And I even messed up the description a little bit. I misworded a character or something, and Mike was intelligent enough to pick up on that and still understood what I meant by it. But this is pretty much the culmination of all the Twin Peaks shows, all in one piece. Twin Peaks aired in 90 and 91, seasons 1 and 2. It was followed by the Fire Walk With Me movie, I think a year or two later, which Fire Walk With Me is a prequel, and that featured David Bowie in it. Then, they, 25 years later in 2017, Showtime releases Twin Peaks: The Return, which was one of those things that if you are really into the series, it was amazing. David Lynch really fully came through with The Return. But and so what I wanted, I'm obsessed with the concept of the Black Lodge. That's the kind of dark place where Agent Cooper gets trapped. But what I wanted a Black Lodge theme commission, but I wanted him to work in all parts of Twin Peaks. And he did just that. And kind of where you have it right now in the forefront and the left, that is David Bowie as his character. And then there is Diane behind him. Those characters are both from The Return. And then to the right is David Bowie. And David Bowie's face in this is from the movie Fire Walk With Me. And it's one of the most memorable scenes from the movie. Just the fact that they even got David Bowie to play this character too really adds to the whole thing. I do remember when I commissioned this, Mikhail had a David Bowie commission by Allred. So I knew that Allred could draw David Bowie.
Right.
And I was like, so I have to have that. Like, this is Agent Philip Jeffries is his name, and like he captured that part of it so well. It's not funny. So and then he kind of builds in the main up above. You have Agent Cooper and Laura trapped in the Black Lodge. So proper nods to the entire show. And like I think I remember saying, this is if Twin Peaks was a comic book. You know, like this is it. This is Allred is the one to do it.
No, that's very true. I have not seen the Showtime. I don't even know how many shows was that.
I do not have the Bowie book.
It's like 7 or something like that.
Yeah, what is it now? The Showtime.
I never saw. I haven't gotten to see the Showtime series yet.
There are 17 episodes.
17 episodes.
17.
Oh man, I guess I'm gonna have to like pay that $5 for a single month of Showtime and just binge it for a month so I can finally see it. I've been waiting.
Yeah, I would tell anybody if you do like it and Lynch is love or hate, and I get that. I get that's not everybody's cup of tea, but if you like it, I would tell you I would tell it is worth the time investment and the payoff.
Well, I recently rewatched the first 2 seasons, so yep, I need to see it.
Yeah. So, and of course, I had Laura color this because you have to have Laura color it. You have to do it. It's worth every bit of it.
Wow. Yeah, she did as well. She always does a great job.
But yeah, really nice. And David Bowie sets it off. And I snuck this in there. This is not an official pick, but I had to show it because it turned out so good. But this is Australian artist Matthew Dunn. Simon is one of the only other guys that I know that was familiar with him. But he has done he likes Batman. He does a lot of Star Wars, a lot of movie related stuff. And I didn't know that this little booklet existed. He did a book on the Black Lodge specifically. And it's about, he used 4x6 postcards to do it. And sure enough, the thing is just these little images, I think 12 or 16 of them. It's no more than 20 pages, this little book. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this existed. And I knew who Matthew Dunn was too. So I immediately, as soon as I saw that book was a thing, I'm like, wait a second, are the originals for this still there? And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, most of them. He's like, I sold a couple of them. So I was okay with that. And I was like, well, what's left? So he starts sending me all these. And that's when I had the idea. Because I know the story well enough that I was like, I'm going to take what he has left and then see how many that is. And then I'm going to frame them in some type of collage based on the story. And I ended up commissioning, I believe 3 or 4 of them that I specifically, story related that I wanted in here. And there is a crazy diagram that I made and I won't get into this with you because a lot of you haven't watched it. But I put these in an order that makes sense to the characters and kind of what happens. So I really geeked out on this really hard. But the colors of the Black Lodge are red and black and white. And I decided to do that with the double matte, black underneath and then red on top. And you see it just came together. But those are 16 original 4x6 postcards, and they fit perfectly in those windows. The rounded corners, I had to carefully tape them in and everything. And it's just the whole, kind of look and evolution of the Black Lodge. And there are kind of newer characters worked in there as well as some of the older ones. The outside corner, the outside is all Agent Cooper, the top row and the far right row. But these are like picture perfect, iconic scenes from this TV show that I assume he's light boxing these to do these, but just really, really just brought the whole thing. When this thing is 36 by 24.
Oh, nice.
So it's just beautiful. It sits at the end of my hallway, and it's really, really, it is one of those things where I'm like, wow, if that's not not more reason to frame stuff, I don't know what is. And I was able to get these are all very affordable pieces. So I put them in, I tried to do it on a budget, the best that you can. So, so it just really turned out good. But I had to sneak this in. This wasn't an official pick, but
that's right. This is 15C in your set.
Yeah, you see that? Did you see that?
I did.
That's what we call cheating, because B was the color. That that's the bad part. There's a Benjamin Philby did a Twin Peaks commission for me. He's a UK artist that I feel bad not putting it up there too. So it's but I could have picked 7 or 8 all Twin Peaks, but I won't do that to you guys.
Well, I'm sure we'll have a second Tyler T appearance on the channel.
Yeah.
Another set of 20 when we do that.
Yep.
But only after you find another urinal cake or splash pad that has somebody else's name on it. As long as it's not mine.
Do you want to talk that? You want to talk about the stars aligning for that? I was like, how can I not? Like I busted out laughing right in the middle of that restroom. So.
Of course, you have to.
Yeah.
The people were probably hopefully you were alone. That's all that.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm just glad there wasn't anybody else in there. They're like, why are you laughing? What's wrong with that guy? So.
All right, so tell me about this one. The artist on this one is Sam Taylor.
This is fun. So we segue into horror. We kind of slowly transition you kind of Hellboy to Twin Peaks to full blown John Carpenter's The Thing. This is Chris Snorek. He is a huge fan of this guy, the Thing, and I think that this is probably one of the better examples. This blows most of Chris's pieces out of the water of the other thing. So, but this is from another UK artist, Sam Taylor. Sam Taylor does beer glass art. And this is a little nod to craft beer. I did homebrew for about 8 to 10 years. I'm out of that, but Sam Taylor, there's a beer publication called Hop Culture. Hop Culture kind of picks all the top breweries from all across the country, and
he just hates when these pieces come up, on his.
Yes, I love that you love it. So yes, this should be your favorite. This is the true thing. Thank you, Matt. Good to see Matt in the chat there. But UK artist Sam Taylor did a bunch of work for Hop Culture here. Hop Culture had a headquarters in Pittsburgh. I think they still have an office, have a couple, but got familiar with what Hop Culture was doing. And Sam Taylor was releasing these just insane beer glasses with really cool cartoon art all over them. And he has this undeniable cartoon style that he can apply to about everything. And this wasn't used for a beer glass or anything. I just went to his site one day, not too long ago, a couple of years back, but because I was like, I wonder if he has Hop Culture beer glass art. And there wasn't anything listed. But he had this piece. This is just a 9x9 piece. It's not real big, but it was just the whole composition and colors used. He uses these pastels that remind me of rainbow sherbet. That's the easiest way to say it, I think. But just using these fun little nods to the movie, and of course you have to have the eyeball creature head guy because he's mandatory. Which, if you notice, Steve Yarish has just started to quote or started to commission some of The Thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just did that at Heroes. He had Jim Calafiore draw the John Carpenter's The Thing monster. So
well, I would encourage everybody to do a Google image search on Sam Taylor beer glass art, and you will see a lot of very interesting designs by Sam.
Yeah, I have a couple in the cupboard, but I will spare you digging all those out. But
they're pretty cool. Wow.
Yeah, just a cool.
Well,
it does. Yeah, I see Stingray said Super Jail. Yeah, there's a little bit of the kind of crazy. He'll draw people kind of weird too, a little bit. But yeah, this is the real thing. Forget the orange one. You want the scary thing.
Yeah. Well, to each their own.
No, I know you're right. That
And
is
this is an
so true.
artist we've never mentioned on the channel, and I knew we'd get at least one or two.
Yeah, but check it out. It seems really cool. Yeah, it's really cool stuff. That's what Marcus asking. Yeah, I don't know if it's on blotter paper. It probably should be, shouldn't it? So, see, like I said, full-blown horror here. This is Ian Laurie. This is Scotland-based artist Ian Laurie. I found out from Ian Laurie through Nick Patera years ago. Nick Patera had a Patreon thing, and he would talk about some artists here or there, and Ian Laurie was one of them, and I was immediately drawn to it. You want to talk about maybe one of the more memorable, better, indie horror creators. Ian Laurie, this book is called "And Then Emily Was Gone." The writer, his name is John Lees. Ian he's done a lot more books with Fraser Campbell, the other writer I'd mentioned, but both Fraser Campbell and John Lees are two independent UK writers, and they are putting out just amazing indie books. John Lees went on to do Mountainhead. Mountainhead is a series that Image put out. That I have a couple originals from Ryan Lee, but another just these guys are doing really good stuff and putting out good books. And this And Then Emily Was Gone is the book that Ian is most known for. It's just a really unique horror story, but the art style is just as unique. I'm such a fan of the heavy inks and all this. And just the face, the creature design and the faces. There's just so much distortion and stuff like that. And Ian has just a really crazy imagination. So he will draw some really, really crazy looking characters.
Right. Yeah, well, it all goes through even the composition of the page alone.
Yeah, and there's an extra I in the spelling. It's I-A-I-N, I believe. Yeah, I-A-I-N.
Oh, did I spell it wrong? I'm sorry.
You did. Yeah, and it's a normal.
Oh, I-A-I-N. Yeah, you're right. Oh, my bad.
That's okay. That's strike one, Bill.
Hey, I got to get it right. I'm going to put it in the right way. All right, there we go. But no, I think it's incredible. And then again, a second artist now we have not ever mentioned on the channel before. But Patera.
Patera, they got to meet him and knew him. And Patera, I remember putting a couple really, really cool pages on his thing. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to check that out. And I went on to back every Kickstarter that Ian Laurie did, and I would get a page every book. So if you go to my gallery, I have about a dozen Ian Laurie pages, and there's a lot of them. He is another diehard Twin Peaks fan too. So there's a couple pages I have from the Kickstarter books that have this, just spot on Twin Peaks influence. Also, I think this is my first commission ever, not first published. My first commission piece ever was from Ian Laurie. It was I had him do Twin Peaks. He did a Twin Peaks piece, and so that was around the time of the Hera and Rumble page too. But that would definitely have been the first
commission piece.
I do not have any Evgeny. I think I've followed him now. But Evgeny Sokolov. I think in Stingray you just posted a newer one there, didn't you?
Yes, he did. Okay, let me see. Oh,
yeah, so much fun. Look at the ink. This is picture perfect almost for what it is. And I don't know. I would tell all of you if you go to Heroes, go see James Callahan at his table. He worked with Tom Neely, and always sits tables near him. And I love both those guys so much. I think they're both wonderful artists, just unique minds, and they're both are really talented and versatile too. But this is such a fun one for me to pick because I watched Pee-wee's. I watched Pee-wee's Playhouse the Pee-wee's Adventure, Big Top Pee-wee on repeat growing up. So Paul Reubens was definitely a household influence. James Callahan did this. James Callahan does a lot of skateboard deck design stuff. But this was just a specialty piece, and it was just it is the tribute of all tributes to Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. When I posted this on CAF, I posted the YouTube clip from it too, and it's worth the YouTube clip itself is only about 2.5 minutes, but it's worth watching. Just to make you laugh. It makes me laugh every time. It's nostalgic. It is so many things at once. I mean, if you really break down his dialogue in it, and it makes me laugh now when I see like he starts out by doing the giggle, and he says thanks for stopping, and just the way he delivers it, it's like you just picked up the goofiest guy on the planet Earth, and you don't know what's like, you just never see what's about to happen. It was such a different scale during the film, it hit a different note. But I mean, James just did this. He did this justice, and the inks are so jet black and even. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, no,
right down to the plaid. Yeah, got the plaid and everything. And I went back and paused the screen. If you go back and pause YouTube, he paused the screen. He really did, gave a proper tribute to Large Marge.
Yeah, here's another image filled with teeth. That's
funny. That has
that image earlier.
Yeah, I've got more of those than what I realize, I think.
Wow.
Yep, tell them Large Marge sent you. So Barf is amazing, Adam. That is the truth.
There we go. So David Finch, Walking Dead.
Yeah. So this is one I probably wouldn't have guessed I would have in my collection. I'm a huge Walking Dead fan. The TV show and the book, primarily the book. I think the TV show, after a certain number of seasons, did start to drop off a little bit, but so I didn't stay on board with the TV show. But I am a huge fan of the series. I am lucky enough to have a couple decent interiors. They are mostly later pages, but I do have some nice Charlie Adler pages. But when I saw Finch's work on this, and then realized, so Walking Dead remade this in color, and they called it the Walking Dead Deluxe. It just came out of I think it's been the last 2 to 3 years. But they had David Finch redo every cover for this book, and do his own cover for every issue in color. And I think that they're just amazing. And this wasn't the one I tried to buy from. They didn't have it. It had sold already. It was still on the website. It was listed as sold. So I had the option of picking another one. And I went with this piece, which is the cover to number 18. It is Mealtime. It is high detail David Finch zombie Mealtime. And he puts about as much gruesome detail as he can into this one. But his style shines through all the way, as it does with his other series, but this time he's just put it into horror. So it is cool to see David Finch draw horror. And I think that when this is one of those ones too, when you look at this up close with your own eyes, it really is impressive. Kind of hard to like the skull up in the foreground here on the left, the guy's ear and the hair, like there's just wonderful detail in that too. But there's a lot going on. There really is.
Yeah, I mean, he did a great job.
Yeah, just the whole composition and everything.
I'm sure he enjoyed it. I mean, just for the amount of detail he packed into these. We've seen a few of these. He's given them to OAX for the auctions and whatnot. And so I've gotten to see him up close. And
I consider. I try to. I think Heroes has had them. I know. I know who Dave. Dave's won a couple of those. Kopecky's won a couple of those.
Kopecky has, yeah, that's true.
Yes, he has. But I thought about going for the one at the OAX auction because I definitely I said, they're all very visually, pleasing, he's just a very talented artist, and he has a new book coming out with Kirkman here sometime soon. It's like an elven kind of looks crazy though. Like the interior pages I preview had this detail to them, or to some degree, so it looked really nice.
Cool. Well, this is what was it? Covered at 18.
Yeah, Walking Dead Deluxe number 18.
All right. Now,
and so I had to leave you all with nightmares.
You were doing that. You could have started with horror and kind of worked your way over to Juggernaut.
Some of you might turn the screen off if I start with this piece. and there is a wonderful story to this too. There really is. Even down to that skull. That skull was going to be an animal or a human, and I said, "You do what you choose." So you pick your own destiny. He went with the human one. So, this is from Zay Bernay. I forgot to put the accent in the E on his name, in his first name. There's an accent over top of that E. Zay Bernay is an artist from Portugal, and I don't know how to describe his work other than it has this very organic, unique, high detail, scenic, a lot of landscape things in some of the work. And I have to say, this is probably, and Marcus asked, why did it have to be snakes? And it didn't really start out like that too. So there is an actual answer to that. Zay always drew wildlife extremely well. So when I was trying to come up for an idea for this commission, this was not my idea. I did not say, "Oh, I'll draw this guy." What ended up happening is like, "Oh, well, there's all these different things or different components that I like." Night, George. See ya. Thanks for watching, buddy. But there's all these components that come together to kind of make what I had seen his other commissions. So I'm like, oh, this seems to be more abstract. So I emailed Zay, had wonderful long emails. The thread is gorgeous on it because he started out before I even said, "What do you want?" He started to interview me, and I've never had any artist do that ever. So it's like a reverse commission process. So he says, "All right, before we even get into anything about what I'm saying or what my actual request is," he's like, "Where are you from? Describe the terrain, describe where you live, send pictures of it if you need to." And I grew up at a little lake outside of in West Virginia here, and West Virginia has, if I drive 2 hours, there are Seneca rocks. There are very beautiful scenic landscape here. That's what the state is known for. So I ended up, telling him all these personal questions about where I live, where I'm from, what I like. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. He's like building a composite, of this. And so then we kind of get into what I wanted. And I tell him I like music. I tell him my interests, all this stuff. But I also said I do like horror. So I am not afraid for you if you want to do something horror-based, I am all for this. We also talked about grief and death and dying. I wanted that to be a component of this. But yet again, it still didn't formulate into this right away. It was more just like, okay, well, I wasn't sure how do you get all these components in there together? How is he going to build those in there? So I tell him that, I had a friend pass years ago, or adversity through life, tough parts through life. I've used music to help through tough parts, comic art, those type of things, where I wanted to be very heartfelt, very sincere, whatever this was going to be. So he kind of comes back. He's like, okay. And, but I reiterated, I was like, you have complete control here. If you want this, I said, you feel free to make this as dark as you want it to be. As a horror fan, I have no problem telling artists to do that. About a week or two it went by. I think the full process of this commission, it was 4 or 5 months. It wasn't an extremely long time. But a couple of weeks it went by, and we hadn't really talked again. There hadn't been any, and he sends me a little thumbnail, and it just says, I have it somewhere. It's I think it's on additional image, but it just says man made of snakes with a question mark all in pencil, and I kind of see this bunch of squigglies down below it, and I'm like trying to look at it, and he's like, it says man made of snakes, and I'm like processing this, and I still don't know what it is, but I'm like, oh, I was like, what we had talked about poisonous snakes in West Virginia, so this is tying into Marcus's question too. There are two poisonous snakes, copperheads and diamondback rattlesnakes, or eastern rattlesnakes here. So I liked the way I'd seen him do snakes and other pieces. So I was like, if you can do snakes, Queens of the Stone Age is there's a lot of tie into snakes there with their band. So I was like, yeah, if you can do snakes, that would be cool. And kind of comes back with that idea. So I'm like, man-made of snakes. I'm like, yeah, why not? And as he goes, he sends me process pictures of this, and I am like, then he's like, well, this is a man-made of snakes, but like, I'm thinking I'm going to have it come out of an animal or possibly a human carcass. And I'm like, either one of those would be fun. And I totally on board. I mean, totally on board with this. And as he's sending this, my jaw is dropping every time that he's sending a picture. And he sent one about a month in, and it's about halfway done. And he's like, I think I bit off more than I can chew with these snakes. And that was really funny because I totally felt for him, And I mean, it might be one of my best pieces in the entire gallery. At the end of all the detail and all the, what after all said and done. And I think you see definitely Dante's Inferno or Milton. There is that older style to that. There are these. There's definitely a different feel. But
what's the size of this piece?
Oh, it is. It's 11 by 17, so it's not. But that he used tiny microns like Matt Allison uses. So he's 0.5, the smallest micron. So this piece took so many hours to do. But I get it, and I look at it. I'm like, you have to be. This is insane. Like, and the more I talk to him about it after, this kind of turned into. We both kind of agreed on calling it the Copperhead Man, although I wanted him to formally name it though, because I'm like, you spent so many hours in this. What is the official title? And the official title is the Copperhead Man. And the end result, this is probably my favorite part about it. It evolved into this Appalachian folk horror piece, and I think it did that because of the stuff we talked about before, because the closest thing the background looks like is Seneca Rocks in West Virginia. But then then you get into the snakes, of course. Every single snake that he did, he has different poses on. So it's crazy. And so it is the copperhead snake, which is from West Virginia. The mountains are in the background. And here this snake man is kind of emanating, rising up from a skeleton, and I think it kind of, at that moment, I kind of thought about it, and it took on its own life, where it's almost like it's its own folk horror. And when I say that, what I mean is like, you could make a movie from this idea that, these, the college kids go camping at Seneca Rocks, and they've heard stories of the Copperhead Man, but he's not real. And then of course, until you wake up and you meet the Copperhead Man. So there is just this, it ended up taking on its a life of its own. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, perfect, Matt. I mean, that's right. Yeah. Alive in the Cat, all the way. So when I saw this, I'm so thankful to say, and I would tell you, go check his books out, because I know he put so much time into this. And if you go down through the snakes, like he drew them in every pose possible. Like some of them are eating the last snake, and Yeah, there you go. Personal chupacabra. Yeah. Copperhead man.
Wow. What a great story. I mean, I don't think I haven't really done like very in-depth commissions in a while, but back when I did, I don't think anybody ever interviewed me quite like
Never,
that.
still to this moment, haven't experienced anything like it. And it was such a wonderful process. And to know you put everything into it, I think maybe that's why I do commission a lot. I mean, I'm very appreciative of what, like, they put their whole life into this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like, just the whole effort.
Well,
But Zay's a talent. I mean, you see that the high detail and everything really, really, really is.
Agreed. Man.
But I want to have him do another one, but I don't even know what it would be. That's like that's a challenge. That would be a definite challenge in that end. But
I think you got to wait till the right inspiration hits you.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't force it because clearly he kind of willed this out of you. All right.
Yeah, right. So it doesn't just happen. It doesn't happen like that. But it is a really crazy and high detail piece, and everybody who sees it in a portfolio stops and like, oh my gosh, what is that? The portfolio I have it in now, it is for Secret Santa last year. ML got me a girlfriend. So the Copperhead man has a girlfriend by a artist named Brooke Turner. I'm sorry, Brooke. Oh my gosh, I cannot get that right. But he did the rattlesnake, the rattlesnake queen, and it is a companion piece to this. So it's worth getting on the CAF and checking out. Yeah, it's Brooks Turner is his name. So can't even get an artist with my own last name right. So there you go.
I'm going to try to find the link to that. Brooke Turner.
Yeah, I don't think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, show. You need to show the.
Yeah, here I'll remove.
And he is another one. Put an insane amount of detail into. Yeah, there you go.
They were meant for each other.
They were, yeah. And she's wearing a shawl made from shedded rattlesnake skin there.
Wow. My word. That's amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean, just amazing. Yeah, a lot of detail on that one, too. So I did send this to Zay. I said, oh, look, he's got a companion now. So.
Oh, wow. Hey, I saw a couple of comments from Matt Sarda. What did he say? Tyler?
I'm not paying attention to the comments enough.
Tyler he was asking you about coming on to IC3 for a review of Skinbreaker, and he also asked or suggested that you should take a look at Jim Terry's work. He did a few crow books.
Okay. Yeah, I will have to get on Skinbreaker then. Give me a list there. That's what we got to do.
Definitely. Well, Mikhail got that one right, just like Stingray said. I mean, he rocked it.
Thoughtful. Oh, he did. Yeah, he did insanely. Yeah, I mean, that's what's crazy. And like Jeff says, yeah, it is wild. I mean, the idea.
Definitely. Well, Tyler, this was more fun than I expected. Look, we've
longer than I didn't expect.
Yeah. I never do this, but I mean, we couldn't stop. This was too much fun. I mean,
yeah, I am known to steamroll. I'm a steamroller too, so I had.
Well, you're a steamroller, but I mean, the thing is, you packed a lot of detail into this, and you really put a lot of thought in the pieces. I mean, everybody does, but clearly you kind of tied everything together for the 1 through 20. So we will do another one of these.
Yeah, I have a whole different career. I really need to do one with a lot of indie artists that.
Well, when we do,
halfway done. I can break it too. Yeah. I can break it. I'm not afraid to say it.
Well, what I'm thinking is like next time we do this, we need to have every artist's Instagram link ready, primed. So it'll be like making a list for everybody. We'll put a little bit more. I'll put a little bit more work into going into these too, because
it's nice if you can follow them right as we're doing it. You know that
exactly. Absolutely. So no, missed opportunity tonight. But you know what? What I'll probably do is I can edit the show description afterwards. I'll put the Instagram links in there from the set.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's perfect. That's perfect. I can send them to you too if you need me to do that. I can compile a list if you want me to do that.
You've already got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't mind doing it.
Um,
Uh, but man,
uh,
this is great, Tyler. It's been a long this interview has been a long time coming. So
oh,
I
I know.
thank everybody who's encouraged you to come on, and also everybody's wanted. I mean, we've been waiting for
Yeah.
this moment for a long
Well,
time. So
good. We hopefully built the hype properly a little bit.
it did, and I'm glad that you didn't have a new laptop when you did it. I
Yeah.
mean,
No,
the
no.
next
Did
time
you
we
see? Go back to Marcus's. Did you see? Marcus asked if this was sponsored by Argento. And I think he's
oh
referring to classic filmmaker Dario Argento, which was known for his use of reds and blues. But yes, this is a modern day giallo. The murder will not happen on screen, Marcus. But yeah, this is definitely a little kind of, yeah, see, I can definitely get some different shades going. Yeah, thank you, Ian. Oh, thanks for all the kind words.
I'm sending you one of my extra cameras though. You can
Yeah,
plug it in and see
well, you know what's going to happen. I need to buy a new computer at some point, but yes, well, that I had to go buy the new speaker, so I probably could buy a webcam, but I won't. If you have an extra, I will not turn.
I do have an extra one. Yeah,
it was very suspicious.
Got two here and another one in a cabinet. I'll just send it to you. It'll be better than the one you got. Although I bet you, if we hang out in the green room for about 3 or 4 minutes, we can fix it. So,
you think so?
Yeah, I think so. But listen, clearly there's gonna be another one of these in the future, and this is awesome. I hope
Bill, thank you.
We had a great turnout the whole thing. I mean,
thanks for everybody to watch too. I mean, and it's a pleasure to talk to you. I mean, I can speak naturally to you, which is good. So, and but yeah, long-winded. So I didn't think I'd go this long. So that's interesting. But
well, I hope everybody on Instagram was pleased with this too. I don't know how many people were watching over there because it doesn't show us, but I know that they were watching, so that's fun as well. But well, thanks for everybody for tuning in tonight. This was insightful, and again, we got some first here. First collector that we ever interviewed that was turned on to collecting art thanks to Felix's ad image count.
I mean, that's
absolutely
crazy. I'm shocked at that, to be honest. I would think there would have been somebody else by now, but
maybe I've interviewed people who didn't want to admit it. I don't know, but you have the courage to say it, and there's others. That's the thing. Well, there are more.
It was James Heron, BPRD, and Into Rumble. It really was. That was it. Once you get that first one, though, you're like, oh my goodness.
Exactly, and I don't think any collector has shown a piece of Piscor art before.
Thank you, Carl.
Another first. All right. Well, listen. Hang out. Don't leave. We're gonna. Fix
I don't know how to. Yeah, I was gonna just close the laptop.
All right.
No, I'm not going anywhere.
All right. Well, everybody have a great evening, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow night. But we thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We'll see you all again very, very soon.
Thank you, guys.